Hello. Welcome. It is time to begin. How are you doing today? I hope that you're doing well. So far, I am doing pretty good today, actually. Make sure everyone can hear me. Yes. Yes. Queen. We're going. What's up to the YouTube chat? There's Spacer's Choice. Whoa. Celebrity guest. Hello. Closeted Skeleton. Jaden Stewart. We got the Optimistic Metalhead. Okay. Yes, Philosophy Tube and ContraPoints are apparently having a Twitter beef, but we will talk about it later. We will talk about it later. This is how my stream works. First, like 30 minutes to 60 minutes. Usually we aim for about an hour. We kind of just talk about whatever. And then we'll actually start talking about the serious stuff, like, later. Like, we'll get there. So, Philosophy Tube, ContraPoints drama is going on. And I want to get into the nitty gritty of like the meat of the conversation that they're having, the meat of the ideological disagreement that they're having right now. And I think something else that we have about like Proud Boys feeling somewhat remorseful about going to protest at a New York City drag story hour. So those are like the two main topics that I have on hand today. Ooh, did I have anything else? I'm sure that there are other things that we could talk about. I have like a bunch of tabs. Listen, we were going to stream on Thursday. I mean, we did stream on Thursday last week. We were going to get into talking about serious topics last week on Thursday. And then y'all just decided that you were going to donate enough money for me to not say anything. So anyway, making sure everything's in order. Isn't the meat of the disagreement that Abigail poorly worded a lukewarm take? Well, what I'm saying is like, I don't know. So I want to like do an actual segment today where I codify my opinion about the gender dysphoria debate. So when I'm saying like, let's get to the meat of the disagreement, I mean like, I'm gonna really pointedly tackle the actual meat of the question that is at hand in their discussion. I mean, not really the discussion, it's kind of just petty sniping at this moment from at least one person in the disagreement, whatever. Anyway, hello, Paul Hack, Jess, and Christy. Christy says to look in the memes and pics channel of the Discord. Which one is that? Where am I? This the soft one? Oh my god, I don't go to the memes and pics channel very often. I gotta scroll. You're looking pretty good. First time putting on lashes and foundation and concealer. Yeah. Okay. And then I'm gonna close this. Hello, it's Gayfesh, and there's Baphomet. We got Willow Oak. Hello, Decoy Duck, Junebug, Mama Mephistopheles. Welcome to the website, Moodamara. How you doing? Giga Chad flirt. Wait, what's the flirting? I post nudes sometimes, and today I got a DM that says, I love what I see your doctor did, a great circumcision. Like, what the fuck? And that's pretty weird, gotta say. Are the cis okay? They're never okay, Corpse Candy. What's up, Timerinia? Oh gosh, so yeah, today is a day for, I don't know, man. Like I'm in a pretty decent mood, to be honest. I think it's still working out. I think it's starting to accumulate. Highly recommend it. I'm on my swole arc, y'all. So if you are annoyed by that, I apologize, because I guess a little bit it's my hyperfixation, but it also just is fun. I like working out. It feels good. I feel much better. Like physically, like getting to a point where you're like, oh, this weight that I've been lifting for the last couple weeks, it's now I need to like increase it, or it's not as challenging. That's cool. I'm also really, really, really trying to consume enough calories to actually be making muscle bigger. So I'm doing this like liquid diet bullshit. I mean, not on a liquid diet like completely, but because I have such a low appetite for the first half of my day, I am gonna have to do this. This is like 1,000 calorie shake. There were like 3 glasses of this, and I'm on my last one. This is me trying to get calories in the first half of the day, and then in the second half of the day, I'm usually more hungry for solid food. So, the gains, exactly. Curse says I'm working out from home today. Nice. Yeah, I think if I were to get a barbell set, or not a barbell set, like a dumbbell set, I probably would be able to work out at home for the most part, but I don't know. I still like going to the gym, and I can't do squats at home because I don't have a rack. I'm pissed there are people who aren't constantly wanting to eat all day, every day. Yeah, I have the opposite problem is that I need to eat and I can't, and I have okay, imagine me, an adult who's 5'6" or 5'7", somewhere around there, weighing 110 pounds because I could not eat. I thought you had a D-cup rack. I do. They are, well, I actually don't know lately. That's interesting. But I mean, it's because there's boob tissue in weird places where there isn't normally boob. Most people's boob is in one location, centrally. And I have this, it's trans women have this issue, and I think I have it because I was put on birth control at a really young age. That's what my mom did instead of having conversations with me. Remorse. So I have broad distribution, and my boobs are really far apart and stuff, and there's a lot of tissue up here. So when I do a comprehensive sizing, that one subreddit, what is it called? r/a bra that fits. You know, it has you take multiple different measurements at different angles and stuff. And I because of the distribution of the tissue, yes, I have D boobies. If I were to gain weight, I bet they would maybe get bigger. I don't know. Is your rib cage really wide? Not really. I mean, I think it's a 32. I'm pretty small, thin, compact, you know. Just realized I haven't consumed absolutely 0 calories all day because I'm not hungry. I haven't been hungry. Oh, dang. I mean, you should maybe drink some milk or drink some water or something. Could be good. Bob tissue equals bishu. Tissue. Oh, boob tissue. Boob tissue equals bishu. Titshu. I like titshu. That's pretty good. He needs some milk. Hello, Mersh. Welcome in. What's up, Forrest? Oh, man. We got all the folks coming in today. Welcome, welcome. So, I mean, there are almost 50 people in here, but there's only about 20 likes. Could we get some likes? It's quick. It's clean. It's pure. Just like Zydrate. I have a weird ribcage deformity, so it's a little hard to get a correct measure for my cup size. Yeah, I bet that's weird. Yeah. And the cup, it's the actual cup is just the differential between one size measurement and the other size measurement. It's got to be pure. Yeah, straight from the source. Sucking it straight out of the corpse brains. We're making Repo the Genetic Opera references, if anybody was not getting that. Oh, what a crazy movie. If I measure under the sternum, the size is 32D, and if I measure over my sternum, it's 34C. Yeah, I mean, that's... So I would recommend, I guess, Baphomet going to r/a bra that fits, because they have a calculator that has you take multiple measurements like that, and it also has you take the measurements laying down and leaning over to kind of figure out where your tissue is actually distributed to. So you might get a more accurate size that way. The broad shoulders don't help either. I do have actually pretty broad shoulders just naturally, so hopefully as I exercise, they'll get bigger. That's what we want. Yeah, I super appreciate it, Mama Mephistopheles. Sometimes I get DMs or comments when I make a post, but the post itself has no likes or upvotes, so I know that people are DMing me expecting me to sext, but they haven't even fed the algorithm. Yeah, you can't even do the basic bare minimum, you know, it's free, it's quick, just hit the thing real quick thing. Yeah, don't be expecting DMs and sexts from someone if you won't even give the little punch the like button or whatever. Too embarrassed of your public, No, Christy. Yeah, no, what I was saying was, Christy says, I remember when I weighed 110 and was 5'7", but I was severely underweight. Maybe it's because I was a wider build. Yeah, that's what I was saying, is that sometimes like my lack of appetite is such an issue that I have become very underweight as an adult. Like that was only a few years ago. That I'm like 5'7" and like I was on like 110 pounds, which is really too small for me. My weight usually is at least 130. Like I was 20 pounds underweight. Yeah, for sure. By the way, have you seen the new WoW update? No, I haven't. I had a very intense urge to play that game very briefly, and then now I just am not quite feeling it as much, although I should probably go ahead and log on after a stream tonight and at least let the game update if there's a patch, you know? No thumbs up, then no thumbs up, if you know what I mean. True. I did just read an article about pegging yesterday. Yeah, I saw that there was no news about Trump today. I started to hear some... Whoa, I just gleeked all over the place. Because that's like... There's like raspberry flavor in here. The like tanginess really hit me just very suddenly. Oh! Delicious. But I saw some people talking the last couple days about how supposedly Trump is about to get arrested, and he's talking about like barricading himself in Mar-a-Lago, and there's no news today. So disappointing. I need to look up the Peggies for reasons. Take your little 5 to 10 minute read an article. So you're telling me that I have to eat every day, not once but 3 times? Nature is a curse. Yeah, I used to feel the same way, Forrest. When I was younger, I used to feel like I wish I could just take a pill or a couple pills throughout the day that would like, I don't know, inflate on contact with my fucking stomach acid and like rehydrate, and then I would not have to eat food anymore. But now I'm like, food is such a pleasure. It's so good. Like food is such a wonderful thing. Obviously, if you have an eating disorder, like complicated relationship with food, whatever, I understand it's not like uncomplicated for everybody, but it's just such a visceral, it's like whatever your favorite sexy thing is. It's like there's just some things that you should just be able to take raw enjoyment in, or you should try to, and food is one of those things. It's a pleasure, but I don't want to spend 30% of my life making it. I mean, I just also enjoy the making it. There is pleasure in that as well. I'm gonna go on a journey. Yeah, Zuki, do it. Food does nothing for me. No serotonin activation whatsoever. Oh, that's a bummer. It's like things that like taste good, you just doesn't really like... You're like, that tastes good, and then there's just no further reaction. That's interesting. Hello, Faith by Faith. Haven't been here in a while, but I come with good news. My church now has gender-neutral bathrooms. I can pee in so many places. You always could pee in so many places. It's just more polite now. Everywhere is a public bathroom if you're daring enough. Anyway. I rarely enjoy cooking, but I enjoy eating, which is nice because I used to have issues. I recommend, for people who don't enjoy cooking, here's something that I've been doing for the last couple days. So I made a pot roast a few days ago, and my Instant Pot has like a keep warm setting that can last for up to like 10.5 hours. And so I made a pot roast a few nights ago, and since then I've just kept my pot roast on like keep warm, and it's like supposed to be about 165, 175 degrees when it's on the high setting. So if it's at like 175 degrees, it's like the equivalent of storing it in the refrigerator as far as like it being outside of the unsafe bacteria zone. So I've just been like eating pot roast for several days now, and that's what I'm gonna eat after I get done with stream tonight, is I'm gonna have a little bit of pot roast. Hello, people who are trickling in. So good to see you. We will be talking about Mommies in a little while. First, we chill for a bit. This is like when the real ones show up at the beginning of the stream, when the real horties show up at the beginning of the stream, we chill. And so if you want to be here for the chill time, you want to enjoy, I highly recommend that you hit the like button, because that'll bring even more people in here. Always a direct positive impact on the stream. What's up, Shade? Just got off work? Nice. That's always a great feeling. I have successfully executed a token reward system, and I want to share with you because it is so highly effective. If any of you have difficulty motivating yourself to do anything that you want to be doing or that you need to be doing, because like I have work that I need to do, editing that I need to do, and I like really don't enjoy editing. This is part of why I started streaming and stopped like doing the kind of more prepared content that I would do before. To be clear, my content that I did before was also just me sitting there thinking repeatedly about the issues that I was thinking about, and then just eventually having thought of it enough times that I had a bunch of different ways to phrase it, and then I would sit down and just talk off the cuff. People thought that that was scripted content. It was not. But the reason I stopped doing it was because I don't like editing very much. So it's just hard to motivate myself to do it. And what I ended up doing was I created a token reward system in which I just put like a glass jar on a table, and I got some, you know, those little glass dragon tear things. And I was like, okay, each one of these represents 50 cents. And I had something that I knew that I was going to buy eventually. I'm like, okay, this thing for, it's some decoration for basically soundproofing for this room, like decorative soundproofing for this room. And I was like, so I know I'm going to buy it eventually when I have the money for it. And so I just said, okay, I'm going to intermittently put one of these glass beads in the jar, representing 50 cents at a time. And like, just, I'm going to periodically do that. Not on any kind of fixed schedule. Just, oh, I'm sitting here editing and I need to go take a piss. So I'm going to just put a bean in the jar on my way past the bathroom. And then once I got to the certain amount of like representing the dollar amount of the thing I needed to buy, I went ahead and bought it when I got there, which was recently. It took me longer to get there than I wanted to. So I think I might do something less expensive for next time, because I want to be able to pull the trigger on this like roughly once a month. I think that'll be like a reasonable amount of time. So this is how you trick yourself. I'm so terrible at reward systems. I can just be like, okay, Candy, when you're done with your chores. Well, you don't, yeah, I guess the trick is doing something with a token. Like token means some, like a representation. So you can like represent the eventual reward with a fake pretend stand-in reward in the shorter term, you know? I found that trying to use candy was not very effective. But the thing is that the most effective thing to do when you're using candy is to not say, okay, you get this candy when you're completely done with your chores. What you do is you get something like M&Ms or Skittles or gummy bears, something like that, and you eat like one morsel periodically as you're doing the tasks that you're trying to get done. And you do that like over a course of time, like a few weeks, and that helps kind of like reinforce that tie-in. Baphomet, did I see you say earlier that you've got on Ritalin? Because like that's something that's really helped me, is like that reward system works a lot better because my dopamine is working now. So when my brain releases dopamine, when I get a tiny reward, then I'm like, oh, there is actually the habit-forming chemicals are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So if you have functioning dopamine regulation going on, highly recommend token systems. When you were drinking the smoothie, I wondered why Americans can't have nice things. And by nice things, I mean produce that's as fresh as Europe or Japan. We do have plenty of fresh produce, but we don't have, we don't grow everything. We don't have tropical environments, so we can't grow things like bananas. Wondering if my body is just not as effective at metabolizing amphetamines, because I'm noticing that Ritalin does not make me sleepy like Adderall does. Yeah, maybe. Could just be an issue with amphetamines. If someone wants a more formalized reward system, I use the Habitica app. I find it really useful. I tried Habitica like 3 or 4 separate times, and it just didn't work. It was too much of an additional like work. And then like the positive rewards, negative rewards thing, I just could never really figure out how to use those sections of the, like, I got really into the pets. I really wanted to expand how many pets I had. I've played Habitica for so long that I played the original version of it that was called Habit RPG back in the day. Our fresh produce is terribly expensive, being a major problem. Honestly, I'd rather have like frozen or preserved produce from elsewhere. Like cause listen, there's like these train crashes all over the country where we have all these accidents. Dizzy, my friend Dizzy, who's in the chat here sometimes, has talked about how like the ground near where they live is unsafe for a child to go play around in because of some previous like toxic dump there. A lot of rice that's grown in the United States has a bunch of fucking arsenic in it because it's a lot of it's grown in like I want to say like Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi area, like down in or like Arkansas maybe. A bunch of rice is grown down there, and it just so happens that a bunch of arsenic has settled into the soil, and rice likes to absorb stuff that it's steeping in, and it like, you know, the soil for rice is usually really wet, and so a lot American grown rice has a bunch of arsenic in it, and the only way to reduce the amount of arsenic is by cooking it like pasta. So you can make American grown rice safe, but it takes away a lot of your options for how you can cook it. And that could make it less appetizing. Obviously, some people have very strong opinions about how you're supposed to properly prepare and like cook rice. Boomers, kids these days don't play outside anymore. The outside has a bunch of toxic wastes. Yeah, for sure. Adderall has been so helpful for me. Adderall like forced me to get moving, but I really am truly bought into the idea that the dopamine regulation aspect of Ritalin is what's making it possible for me to build habits over time. Like even on the days that I don't take Ritalin, I'm like more focused and shit. And also interestingly, taking Ritalin literally just makes me feel better. Like my mood just goes right up. I can tell. I'll feel like shit in the morning, and then I'll take my Ritalin, and I'll be like, 30 minutes later, I'm like, oh yeah, things are fine. I'm like, oh, this is okay. Thank God for ADHD medication. Would soaking the rice a bunch and rinsing help? I believe that it is you have to apply heat and allow the arsenic to like boil out into the water. Like, I think that you have to boil it out essentially. Oh my God, a 1-bedroom here averages 2,000 USD per month. That's crazy. Can you take Ritalin and Adderall? I take Adderall, but it would be nice to be awake and happy. I don't think it would generally be recommended to take 2 different stimulants at the same time, but you would have to ask someone who's a professional. Honestly, the very first thing that I would do is I would look up, I would Google, is there a drug interaction between Ritalin and Adderall? Because sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if there's an interaction between this and, alcohol. So you can also find out if any of your medications are, contraindicated to be used while you're drinking alcohol. Ooh, water's delicious. Hail, hydrate, bitches. I feel so much more capable and chill with Ritalin. It's awesome. Just big fan. What is phone doing? What are you doing, phone? I've been getting new apps lately, and they have been making a lot of noise. Are you making a lot of noise, my dude? Who was phone? I'll take you on better. Why is phone? Why? Oh gosh. Oh, I finally disabled channel memberships on I finally went ahead and disabled channel memberships on the YouTube channel, by the way, if anybody's curious. So if you're on the YouTube channel, the only way to support the channel, to support me, is to hit the like button. You can hit subscribe and check your notifications, and subsequently check your notifications from the YouTube app, because if you turned those off, then you won't get pings when I upload or whatever. And then if you want to support me financially at all, you have to do that on Patreon or over on my website, luxander.net, which you're welcome to do. And if you want to join the chat over here, like if you're hanging out in the YouTube and you didn't know that there's like a website chat, I have my one of those cool websites like Vosh. Come on over, luxander.net/live. Oh baby, we have custom emojis and fun colors and the ability to donate directly without having YouTube scalp like 30 to 40% of your money. Anyway, everyone asks who was phone, but nobody ever thinks to ask how was phone. How is phone? Did the Seraphim ever arrive? Ah, yes, I am in need of going to the post office. I keep remembering and then forgetting. I need to set an alarm. I probably just should set an alarm and just do it tomorrow morning. That's the tragedy of the ADHD, is sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I remember I need to go do this, and then you forget, and then later you're like, oh yeah, I need to do this thing, and then you forget later, and it is a never-ending cycle until sometime you finally take a moment to give yourself a note that says go to P.O. Box, and, you know, then you'll finally fucking remember to do it. I feel like I always ask, where is phone? Here's my thing. I misplace my phone all the time. I set it down and like I don't remember where I put it, or I set it down and then I fucking put something on top of it and I'm like, where the fuck is it? And I've just like, I'm trying to make that moment more fun instead of very like anger inducing and frustrating, because for God, the anger is real in me lately. I don't really love it, but it's, you know, we're dealing with it. But I go like, my telephone, where the fuck is my telephone? Like that's just how I cope with fucking losing my things all the time. I'm trying to just do the task immediately when I think about it. Yeah, but I think about it like at 7 p.m. and no, I can't go to the fucking post office at 7 p.m. They are not open still. I don't think. My phone is attached to me at the palm. I have it constantly playing some kind of noise because I don't want to listen to my thoughts. It's rough. Speaking of ADHD, is it normal for people with ADHD to constantly watch the same thing or listen to the same music and not get sick of it? It's for sure like a neurodivergent thing in general. I don't know if it's specific to ADHD. I know that I've also seen people say that rewatching the same material and things like this could be like an anxiety, like a comfort thing, because you're taking any of the surprise out of it. Like, obviously, you know, like Game of Thrones and BoJack Horseman are kind of difficult material to watch, but I've seen all of it. And so there's nothing unfamiliar. I can just be like, oh yeah, I know that this episode has like graphic stuff, or it's really kind of emotionally more difficult than one of the other ones. And I know going in that that's what it's going to be. And so it's like takes some of the element of anxiety out of, you know, just being unsure of how your emotions are gonna respond. Gosh, I really should like turn my phone on on a quieter mode. Oh well. My phone drives me nuts. I ditch it as soon as I get home. I'm the same with BoJack. I mean, listen, the first time I watched BoJack Horseman, it really hurt my feelings. No spoilers or anything, but the end of season 3 was all that there was on Netflix at the time, like 1, 2, and 3. The end of season 3 really hurt my feelings, and that's all I'll say about it. And that's all that there was left of the show. And so I was like, wow, ow, like my personal feelings are very hurt by this. There was a conversation between BoJack and Todd. If you know, you know. But yeah, now I can watch it and it doesn't feel as hurtful. It's too much, man. I know, it is. but it's also such a fascinating show to watch, like from a literary perspective. So I should probably get back around to doing my fucking BoJack Horseman has borderline personality disorder video. It's like so there's like echoes and repetitions throughout the whole show. It's so fucking well written, dude. I thought it was more anxiety, but that may be more a product of feeling like I'm not managing my life properly. I mean, so here's the thing. Obviously, neurodivergent people are going to also consequently have more anxiety because we have to struggle with like invisible illnesses to accomplish the same types of things that other people do. Could not watch BoJack. It was just too sad. Understandable. It's honestly not a show that I really recommend because it's really difficult material. You know, you have to like, that's like your own judgment. Get your students to write an essay script about about BoJack Horseman and BPD. I mean, it's not a... That's a little bit much for them, for sure. Prosy Rosie, welcome to the website chat. Arsenic? Yes, arsenic in rice. Feel free to Google it. I actually learned about it while watching an Adam Ragusa video. I don't really like Adam Ragusa, but my partner likes him, so I ended up watching some of his videos. And then I'm like, I mean, I just don't really vibe with you as a human being. I don't like hate him, but I'm just like, I don't really like you. I don't know why. I really dove into it when I was super depressed, but when I try to rewatch it lately, it feels like wallowing. Don't self-harm by watching BoJack Horseman. Don't do it. Anyway, did you all have any fun this weekend? I cleaned my apartment a bit on Sunday. I actually ended up I tried to like clean my apartment a bunch earlier in the day on Sunday, and then toward the end of the day, I'm getting my notes open, by the way. Toward the end of the day, I ended up being like, wow, I'm just really fucking like mentally and emotionally and physically exhausted. So I just, for the like last half of the day, I kind of couldn't do anything whether I wanted to or not. Yay! But it was good. I needed to do that. And then I felt a little bit better yesterday. I am sometimes in Demon Mama chat. Yes, Prosy Rosie. I'm a big fan of Demon Mama. I don't go to her stream very often because I don't really need to be repeatedly told how terrible the world is. And sometimes, like, the streams that I've visited of hers lately have been a little bit like, and you need to be aware of these things, and you need to try to get community with your fellow queers because the Republicans are coming for you. And I'm like, that's my job also, is to talk about those things. So when I'm hanging out in someone else's stream, I kind of just want to like chill. But I really, really like her. You missed the Star Wars prequel review stream. Yeah, I heard about it after the fact. Yes, absolutely. And yes, she's streaming tonight. I think she should be starting here in about 20 minutes, I think. So, and I think she's probably covering the same thing that I am. So, Imp Gang, yes. Yeah. Would you want people to compose original background music for your stream? And if yes, what vibe/genre do you want? Oh, okay, that's an interesting question. I haven't gotten any kind of work like that done because I generally want to compensate an artist for that stuff. Although I do understand, like, some people like to give artistic contributions when they can't donate, which is like, okay, I can accept that. Go call into Mama stream as a surprise, dual stream. What is she? Is she talking about, I thought that she already posted a video actually explaining this dysphoria thing. Is she, talking about that again? Because her stream today is called like the Tranny Wars or something like that, yes? But I don't really play music during the stream very much. Personal opinion, not a huge fan of having music playing while I'm talking. And, but I do have like the 5 to 7 minutes at the beginning of the stream, where I would be okay with putting custom music there. That would be neat. And then I guess just, I don't know how to describe the music that I put at the beginning of the streams. I mean, there's like, what did I do today? Today I did these ones. There's that one. And hold on, where are they? I like this one. This is like random stuff off of the Google, you know? I don't know. And then there's this one, which I don't play very often. So electronic music. I don't know, take your fucking pick. I think she's gonna talk about Contra firing shots. Yeah. She is talking about the same thing we were talking about today, except that I haven't done, she already did her, like, dysphoria segment. I just don't have the capacity to, like, pump out, like, daily hot news segments. Like, I don't think that I have the editing capacity to do that. And so I'm just like, I tend to, like, wait until some events have accumulated. And then I do one kind of video being like, hey, here's a bunch of info about this one thing. Here's what's been happening over the course of the last week or so. And then that hypothetically is, like, easier to get uploaded to the channel rather than having a bunch of small individual little videos. Anyway, though. Oh, 69 likes is Contra fighting with Abigail. There's a little subtweet. There's a little back and forth going on. I have my notes ready. We can start on that momentarily. I probably want to get some more water before we get started here. So we're going to be talking about Philosophy Tube and ContraPoints today. Natalie Wynn and Abigail Thorne. Contra deleted. Yeah, I have her screenshot, though. Did you get to the Velocity Tube stuff yet? Not yet, Ariel. We will be there soon. We're still in that first hour where we just kind of vibe, but we will be getting to it momentarily. I have my notes open. I have my links ready. So we'll talk about Abigail's comments. We will talk about some, we'll look at like a little segment of one of Abigail's live streams, and we'll look at Natalie's response to this, and then I will tell you my opinion, which, as usual, will settle the issue. That's what my job is in the trans community. If you haven't been around for very long, you should know this is one of the things that I do, is I kind of like sit on things and I stew and I wait, and then I'm like, ah yes, I have the conclusive final answer, and then after I post my video about it, everyone stops talking about it permanently. Truly, that's exactly how it works. Everyone goes, oh no, Luxander figured it out, and then they shut the fuck up about it. If only that was the world we lived in. Now I just want stew. That's essentially what I have waiting for me after stream. Wait, what's happening? Sorry, I just joined. Yeah, no worries. We are not yet in the thick of it. But there's like some beef between the bread tubers about the existence of the concept of gender dysphoria. I hate all the dirty deletes. Yeah, it's so funny that there is just there's like a culture of screenshotting ContraPoints tweets before they get deleted. Bread and beef stew. Ooh. I should make, yeah. I do have some bread right now. I could, you know, when you use the bread to like sop up the wet parts of the stew? I should do that. I'm gonna do that. But later. I'm still in the process of finishing this smoothie. I can't stand that drama stuff. Well, we're not going to be talking about just drama stuff, because I do want to talk about the meat of their disagreement, okay? Okay, yeah, so we're going to get into it here momentarily. Y'all who are just coming in here, thank you for coming in and hanging out. Welcome in. Consider hitting the like button really fast. It's free. It's quick. It'll bring more people in. We are about to start talking about mommies. We're going to be ready. I want to know if she intends to later delete the tweets when she tweets them. I think at this point, she does kind of assume that she's going to. I think at this point, she just kind of assumes that she's going to delete. Yeah. Yum. I'm literally a mommy dumb. Yeah. This is so thick. I think I might make a short later this week showing all the goop that went into this, because there's like a whole avocado in this and like yogurt, like all kinds of shit. The lengths that we go to when we're trying to gain weight. Okay. Is that a workout smoothie? I mean, basically, yeah. It's I'm working out and consequently I'm having a really hard time getting enough calories in my body smoothie. I'm not using Twitter anymore, so these things are much easier to understand from the outside. Nice. So I'm just going to grab some refill of my water really quick before we get started. Dairy whey can help. I am not using whey dairy proteins because of I'm trying to cut back on lactose a bit. So, you have a fast metabolism then? No, I think I have a relatively slow metabolism because I have a hard time, like I'm not hungry. I have a low appetite. But yeah, I'm not doing dairy whey. I do have a bunch of plant protein though. I have like a scoops of plant protein that's vanilla flavored, and there was some of that in there. All right. Yes, Arden, hold on just a moment. We'll get into it. If you don't have a snack, consider getting yourself a little snack. You can get yourself a little drink of water. And I'll see you in a minute, okay? You doing creatine? Nope. Also, I just have to say, excuse me, my birthday is in less than a week, and I'm so excited. It's on Monday next week, and I am going to take myself out for a nice dinner, and I think my partner might come with me on the nice dinner, and it's going to be great. Sunday is going to be our birthday stream. That's going to be the day that our birthday stream actually is. What kind of dinner? A dinner at a restaurant that has private rooms. Ooh, it's going to be nice. COVID-friendly private rooms. Nice dinner. Okay, so you're going to get so many donos next week. I hope so, Curse. That is my hope. I'm not telling you guys where I'm going for dinner. It's a special restaurant that I want to go to. Oof. Okay. So I just saw that Dizzy tweeted and mentioned me on Twitter, and it distracted me. I was distracted. There is an intense conversation happening on Twitter right now, which was sparked by the lovely Abigail Thorne from the channel Philosophy Tube. She has been discussing the issues that are prevalent in the NHS over in the UK. Like, she lives in England, and she has a very particular set of frustrations involved with attempting to access medical care there. She posted like an hour and a half long video on her channel, which I'm sure has a link that has already popped up over here about it. And if you haven't seen it, it's a really important video that outlines a lot of the issues that are going on in Britain, and like the extremely long wait lists, the fact that people are just like dying of suicide while they wait 5 years for their very first appointment at the gender clinic, and like all the invasive questions that they ask. Like, fundamentally, at the heart of the criticisms that Abigail has, like, she kind of has this section toward the end of her video where she goes into the concept of gender dysphoria and talks about how, like, it's a separate diagnosis that trans people get, and that we have to get that psychological screening and diagnosis in order to actually access transition-related care in most cases. Even if you are an informed consent, like, even if you're going the informed consent route, you still have to get the diagnosis in the first place. Like, I went to an informed consent clinic when gender dysphoria hadn't yet been, like, I mean, it was already in the DSM, but hospitals hadn't started using the gender dysphoria diagnosis yet because insurance companies hadn't updated their systems yet. So when I was diagnosed, it was informed consent, but I was diagnosed by a nurse person with gender identity disorder. Like, that was my original diagnosis, was gender identity disorder. And yeah, like, it did not require a huge amount of screening, but I did have to go somewhere and get like a stigmatized pathology attached to my medical file in order to access this care. So Abigail has like an actual section of her video where she talks about gender dysphoria. So yeah, like, that's kind of like, I don't want to get into that right this second, like the details of it. You should absolutely watch that video. But building on that, so if you had watched that content, you would be familiar with what she's getting at when she posted on Twitter a couple days ago. The BMJ posted, "When it comes to gender dysphoria, there has been little constructive dialogue," writes Cameron Abbasi in this week's Editor's Choice. "Can a better appreciation of the evidence, as well as the limits of medicine, improve debate and practice in this area?" And Abigail comes back and says, she responds, "Probably because gender dysphoria, quote unquote, was made up based on unreliable data by a bunch of cis doctors, multiple of whom have since been disgraced. We shouldn't need some cis person's fantasy diagnosis to transition. The fact that we want to is enough." This is like ultimately what is at the heart of the idea of informed consent. Like, she is, oh God, I need to drink the water immediately. Why? She's criticizing the idea of the construct of gender dysphoria. Like, she's not saying that the feelings of distress are not real. She's just saying, like, we shouldn't need to prove some arbitrary standard of distress in order to get that care, is essentially how I understand this argument. A lot of people have been getting really annoyed about it. And I want to expand just a little bit, because Abigail did a live stream where someone asked her a question about this issue, and so we'll get that. And then we'll see a little bit of the response to this. And I'm going to wait until the end, but I really want to weigh in on what my opinion is on the subject. And, we can kind of discuss a little bit. They're both right and they're both wrong. Yeah, I'll tell you what I feel like in a minute. Yeah, actually, Not a Mermaid, do you have a link to the, someone called her a cis man? Because I remember seeing that, but I did not grab a link to it when I was getting my notes together. Like, some people have been, like, going out of their way to aggressively misgender her, and I think I would like to include that. I don't get how anyone can be so terminally online as to misunderstand her so badly, but not terminally online enough to go actually watch the video. Right, video essayists, they put hours and hours into their process of writing and research and producing the content, but then they distill that argument down into a pretty easily consumable and pretty hard to misunderstand 280 characters soundbite basically for Twitter, and everyone shits their pants completely. Thank you, Forrest. I appreciate that. Oh yeah, Rose Millette. Always great. Okay. Coming back here. Coming back here. I need someone to love me. I love Lil Nas. Okay, let me get the volume right on here. Hold on, I gotta turn this down.
Enoch Ethereal says, "I feel like you mocked gender dysphoria, even though some people really do have it."
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I could... It's as loud as I can get it. I'll have to adjust it later if I can. It's as loud as it goes. Okay. So this is... someone clipped part of a live stream that Abigail did where someone asked a question about this, and so I want to just, like, hear... She has a little bit of a clarifying statement on this. Oh my God, by the way, hit like if you haven't already hit like on the video, please. It's so quick and so easy. Thanks, babe. Okay, come on.
Enoch Ethereal says, I feel like you mocked gender dysphoria even though some people really do have it. Actually, my contention is that no one does. My contention is that, in fact, no one has gender dysphoria because it's a category error. So, certainly my intent was not to mock. And I'm certainly... I'm going to say I'm sorry if you felt that way. That's not a good apology, is it? I certainly did not intend to mock. But my contention is that no one has gender dysphoria because it does not exist. I'm, if you like, a gender dysphoria error theorist. Certainly there are people who are sad because there is a gap between what they want and what they have. I myself feel that. But I do not think that that is... I do not think that that should be called gender dysphoria in a clinical setting. I hope that helps.
I feel like that was perfectly clear. People are like even more upset about that. Apparently, is it a Patreon only live stream? Probably. I'm not entirely sure, but I would guess that it's probably a patron only live stream. I feel like she's not helping her place in this. I really don't think that people are being charitable to this clip. Like, okay. I just want to acknowledge before we move on that the Natalie Wynn's response to this was to say gender dysphoria is real, smiley face. And so that's like them arguing with each other about this. I don't really have a lot of extra information to put on that. It like at the core of everything, I think that there's just like a completely different approach when you start to view things from an anarchist lens. And I just don't think that Natalie does. And I think that Abigail does. And I like Abigail a little bit more as a content creator because I think that she approaches things with more of an anarchistic like approach. So here's why I think that what she's saying makes perfect sense. I think what Abigail is saying makes perfect sense. And I think that people really get their feelings involved on this subject in general. And I understand because like we do hinge a lot of our acceptance on this medicalized thing. Like, so, and people really are deeply invested in the idea that gender dysphoria is the validating framework for trans people. That's what the whole concept of transmedicalism is. I just think that if you aren't a transmedicalist, then like the natural progression of thought on this is going to naturally lead you to the idea that gender dysphoria as a diagnosis is unnecessary and potentially harmful. That's my thesis, okay? So stick with me on this, okay? We have basically determined as a community, there are still outliers, again, in the transmedicalist or true scum community, but there is a general consensus that you don't need to have distress about your gender dysphoria. That's like the clinical term for distress, like clinical life-altering distress, basically. That's how we categorize sort of like disorders. Hold on. My brain just like lost the direction that I was going to go here. Oh, this was her post-mortem stream a couple weeks after the NHS video went up. It's very clear that we don't think that we need gender dysphoria because we have these concepts of euphoria where it's like, okay, you can just want to be another gender and you can find joy in it. And maybe if you pursue that joy, you might even come to understand that the sort of despondent, dissociated, like lack of a strong opinion that you had about your life before was perhaps a type of dysphoria or incongruence or whatever you want to say. So generally, like we've been trending toward already this idea that you don't like that you shouldn't need gender dysphoria in order to identify as trans or perhaps even in order to access hormones and surgery. Like maybe, you know, just because you want to should be good enough, which is exactly what Abigail was saying. Like she's also coming at this as a woman who lives in the UK. So Abigail is in a country where you have to wait an additional, like, unreasonably burdensome long time in order to access this medical care. And it's categorically considered different medically from the kind of medical care that cisgender people already receive. Like, I think that some people are arguing, and I'm interested in entertaining the argument, that, I mean, she didn't say this. She wasn't being smug and says, sorry you feel that way. She literally was like, she realized that she was about to say something like, sorry you feel that way, and then went like, then she realized how shitty that sounded, and she was like, well, I'm not going to say that because that's a shitty apology. Like, I really am starting to think that she's starting to receive the, like, misogynistic, over-analytical criticism of the way that she says things pretty straightforwardly. Like, I think that she just, like, realized that she was saying something that wasn't going to sound right, and she kind of went like, well, that's not really a good apology, is it? Like, that's what she said. Like, she was like, that's not a good apology. And then she clarified her intentions, so she didn't end up really apologizing. And I don't really think that she had much to apologize for, because I think that what people are taking really personally in this situation, and I'm not saying that anyone in chat is doing this necessarily, but I think that the overreaction to this in general is because people are thinking that she's saying that trans people don't experience distress over the dissonance between their gender internally and their gender experience outside their body and, like, their sex characteristics. A lot of people are having that kind of reaction. So the question in this instance, the question that the person asked her was, like, you were coming across as mocking, basically. They were telling her that she was coming across as mocking of gender dysphoric people. And she was like, I was not intending to mock. And frankly, if it were me getting that accusation in this instance, I would probably not respond as nicely as she did to the idea that, like, me making a statement about the existence of a gatekeeping, like a gatekeeping diagnosis. I would probably not respond in a super kind manner to that, because I would be like, you're being deliberately uncharitable and you might not be smart enough to be in my chat. Like, I would be significantly less nice to people about that. So I do think it's an interesting argument. I kind of got off away from this a second ago. I think it's an interesting argument to entertain, the idea that gender dysphoria is something that clinically we could consider as existing, but that cisgender people could be diagnosed with as well. Because one of the main contentions that Abigail has is that you can't access the same medical care without getting this additional psychological screening and this other diagnosis. Like, a cisgender woman, if she has, like, PCOS, which is a slight hormonal, like, problem, basically. They generally have a little bit more testosterone than other cisgender females, and they might start to grow, like, a mustache. So if she goes to her regular doctor and says, Doc, I'm a cisgender woman and I'm growing a mustache and that makes me feel bad, then the doctor can prescribe her a testosterone blocker. And she might even be able to get her health insurance to cover laser hair removal, because the gender affirming care that cisgender people seek is considered normal and not a type of sickness or pathology. But a transgender person who wants the exact same care for the exact same reasons has to get additional psychological screening to determine that they actually are experiencing a clinical level of distress and that they deserve this care. So yes, I think that cisgender people also experience the same feelings when men are experiencing, like, an emotional reaction to not being strong and muscular enough, or, like, I don't know, going bald or something like that. Like, these are gender affirming, like, when you get care for those things, that's gender affirming care. The thing is that they don't have to go through additional psychological screening. And, like, I think that people who want, like, if you want that cis people should also get a diagnosis of gender dysphoria, what you're advocating for is more barriers for everyone. What you're arguing for is that you want everyone to have to go through additional psychological screening in order that they can receive gender affirming care. And the fundamental point that Abby is making is that you should not need to do that. That if a cisgender person can go to the doctor and say, I need gender affirming care, then like you just get it. And like it should not be any different for trans people. And I don't think that we should flip that to like then say, oh, everyone should get additional psychological screening. It's one thing to say gender dysphoria as it's written in the DSM is complete bullshit based on outdated science and shouldn't be a medical category upon which our healthcare is based. It's another thing entirely to say gender dysphoria is fake, double down on it, and be dismissive when people are understandably and inevitably hurt when they are hurt by what you said. So we're working with Twitter, first of all. Like, if you're a creator who puts hours of thought into the content that you put out, and then like people decide to completely like ignore the actual phrasing of what you've said and misinterpret it, and also refuse to check out the more well thought out lengthy opinion about that you posted in your videos, like, and also like this is a reading comprehension problem. Like, she says on multiple occasions the feelings that you have are real. She says here, like, the fact we want to is enough, which is acknowledging that there is like a motivation feeling that trans people have to get into it. In this video, she also says that the sadness is real. Like, gender dysphoria is fake in the diagnosis sense. And like, so I guess if she just, I mean, like, she's very clearly talking about the concept as it has been invented by a bunch of doctors. Like, I just don't know how much hand-holding we need to do with people who just like apparently their entire political engagement and like their like level of political engagement is at the level of like an 8th grade reading level on Twitter. I think as a creator of a certain size, you need to be more precise with your phrasing and rhetoric. I don't see what was imprecise about this. She's saying gender dysphoria was made up on unreliable data, multiple of whom have been disgraced. So she's also like interrogating, like she's clearly indicating that she's interrogating the construct of gender dysphoria. I think that you would be needing to willfully read into this. Like, this is like coming back to the problem that I have with the trans community in general right now, is that I think that we are so led by our trauma. And she was responding to an article. Yeah, that's another thing to point out, is that this was not like her individually tweeting. She was like, she's saying like there has been little constructive dialogue about the diagnosis of gender dysphoria. She's responding to something about like, what is this? The debate about gender dysphoria. This is like about how to treat it as an illness, I think. Yeah, this is basically about how to treat the illness of gender dysphoria. And her like issue that she's taking is that the way that we treat gender dysphoria is predicated on a faulty framework. And I've seen some people responding to this going like, well, you know, you're basically saying that all of the way that we categorize and fix mental illness is, you know, is just as bad and made up. Hold on, let me see if I can find one of these tweets, because I was responding to one and I don't want to like mischaracterize what the person was saying. Yeah, so President Sunday was tweeting about this and said, gender dysphoria is a category invented by humans with their own contextual purposes and personal biases, which lumps a bunch of disparate and often context-dependent things together and shouldn't be treated as a diagnostic criteria for being recognized as trans. And then this person says, this can also be said for every single mental health diagnosis in existence. In order to single out gender dysphoria as uniquely wrong, you have to actually demonstrate why the specific diagnostic category is worse than the others that were invented the same way. And like, the thing that I don't think people understand is that this criticism is also true of the entire way that we diagnose and treat every psychological illness. Like, and like, listen, this is coming from someone who spent 7 years having a bunch of drugs thrown at them, like a bunch of a bunch of like pharmaceutical drugs that made my life actively worse because I was misdiagnosed for like mental health. So the entire concept of diagnosing mental health conditions is like, people think, oh yeah, you're an expert when you're a psychiatrist. Like, well, if you're an expert in a flawed model and you're entrenched in the idea of that model more so than you're interested in serving the needs of the people who you're actually treating. So it's exactly the same issue, just with different groups of people. Like trans people are saying that like this medicalization of our lives and this like format of pathologizing our existence and diagnosing us and like having to go to cisgender gatekeepers, like that is the same issue as like having a bunch of badly put together categories that end up damaging people in mental health in general. Like the concept of borderline personality disorder, like the concept of calling someone's personality a disorder on a fundamental level, right? Like maybe the category does have some merit to it. Like maybe the category of traits does like have a tendency to come together, like to correlate, come together. The way in which we construct these categories can hurt people. And so like I do also genuinely think that we should be willing to interrogate like who decided to cluster these symptoms together. Like there's such a massive amount of overlap in the symptoms with a lot of mental health issues that's why I ended up having a bunch of harmful medications thrown at me for 7 years, because I was understood to have depression and anxiety, and we were trying to treat those things. And like my doctor just didn't look further into the idea that I probably had PTSD instead. I agree with what Abigail said 100%. I don't think people are being uncharitable to her in the slightest, though. I feel like people are being uncharitable to those who reasonably bristled at the notion that that what they were feeling was fake, which isn't what Abigail said. I fully understand that, but it is extremely easy to misread it as that, as it was worded. I guess because I had the context of like, I knew, because I've seen her previous content about it. I just don't really feel very positively about the people who are like misinterpreting this. Because like, I think it is very easy to understand the point that she's trying to make. Like, I mean, this is just like an issue of literacy. If other people think it's very easy to misread this, and I think it seems pretty fucking impossible to misread this, like, I don't know how to bridge that gap. But ultimately, like, yeah, the feelings associated with gender dysphoria obviously exist. But it's also, like, who made up the diagnosis of gender dysphoria and why? Like, that's the part where I don't really respect people who misunderstand this, because the entire point of this tweet is that she's interrogating the concept of gender dysphoria. Like, who made this up? Who made up this concept of gender dysphoria? Like, obviously people experienced the sad feelings, and they went to a doctor and said, I feel these sad feelings. And then the doctors took all that info and like then decided to consolidate it into a definition that is only being applied to transgender people as a way of gatekeeping us from accessing medical care. Like, the whole point of the tweet is interrogating where things... This is what I mean about hostility toward anarchistic thinking. I recently was asking y'all what you wanted to see on the channel more, and several people said that they wanted to talk about anarchy more. Like, this is fundamentally... This is just exactly the same as people who criticize the concept of school being, like, attacked, like, en masse by a bunch of so-called leftists. It's exactly the fucking same, because when you start to interrogate systems that people think are good, like, oh, public schools produce a certain amount of literacy in a society, and oh, are you against literacy now? You're against the idea of people reading books? Like, no. Maybe if you fucking listened, like, the interrogation is of what the system is built and designed to do, and as it currently exists, it's serving a function that is antithetical to the well-being of society. Like, and like, that's a whole fucking thing. I realized that people didn't realize that I had opinions that might be anti-school, perhaps. I still haven't fully fleshed that out. Don't get caught up on that too much. But like, this is fundamentally, we should be able to interrogate at the base level why something is the way that it is, and why we're allowing constructs built by mysterious actors with unknown motivations, why those things should be dictating our lives, which is fundamentally what this tweet is about. It's literally just saying, like, this diagnosis, which the current application of the phrase is gender dysphoria. If it were 10 years ago, she would have put gender identity disorder in this quotation block right here. Made up by cis doctors. Like, we're interrogating the concept of where it came from. And this is just why I find this kind of conversation so frustrating, as people go like, oh, well, it's so easy to misinterpret what she said. Like, yeah, if you're like deliberately like being reactionary against the criticism of like where an idea comes from, like, I don't know. I just get really annoyed about it. And I just like have less and less ability to empathize with people who have a hard time grasping these things, because it's so fucking obvious to me. Like, it just makes sense to me. But that's because my entire way of thinking has shifted to being more like anarchistic. What you're talking about is good analytical thinking. I'm not an anarchist, but I totally agree with you. I mean, it's about like being willing to interrogate the framework itself, and most people just haven't gotten to that point. Is that really all there is to it, though? I initially didn't understand what she was getting at with the original tweet, and I've seen the video. I mean, I don't think... Okay, here's the thing. I really struggle in this kind of instance with, like the interrogation of gender dysphoria as a concept is kind of like, you know, it's not 101 level thinking about what being trans is. And I find it kind of frustrating that, like, because people are going to misinterpret my ideas, like, I am not allowed to discuss my ideas, like, in a way that is succinct and fits into a tweet. Like, it's like I could use bigger words to illustrate an idea and be able to fit that into a tweet, but then people are going to accuse me of using jargon and, like, oh, well, your tweet was so easy to misunderstand because you used a bunch of jargon. It's like, I resent the idea that I have to constantly dumb down my ideas for a vanilla audience who are just not going to make any not going to make any attempts to understand me. Like, that's, and like the fact that people got like mad, and I'm not saying that anybody in this chat has done that, but like the fact that people's reaction to this is like to fucking get pissed off and start calling Abigail like a man and like aggressively misgendering her. Did that open? Yeah. Like people saying like, I don't even care at this point. If he's going to say my disorder isn't real, I'm not going to act like his gender identity is real either. He doesn't experience dysphoria because he's a cis man who transitioned for fun. So he doesn't think anyone else does either. Like, and again, nobody here is doing this, but like the fact that folks have this like knee-jerk reaction, I find really frustrating. Like, you could just take a minute to think about it a little bit and like really read the actual words that she said, because the actual words that she said were an interrogation of the origin of the phrase gender dysphoria, or like the concept of gender dysphoria. And like, I guess I just don't know. I don't like how you're expected to like spend 20 minutes on each tweet is another thing. Like, again, is it surprising that a group of people that are extremely prone to abuse have a knee-jerk reaction to gender dysphoria is fake? Why do you have that reaction in the first place? Like, who taught you that your gender dysphoria was essential to your trans existence. Like, who taught you that? It's the fact that you needed the diagnosis in order to get your medicine. Like, you would not have that feeling about the concept of gender dysphoria if someone had not brainwashed you into thinking that gender dysphoria as a concept were important and integral to your being. You feel personally attacked, not you, people in general about this, like not you, Baphomet. Like, people feel personally attacked by this because they've allowed the cisgender created construct of gender dysphoria to become a dictating factor in how they understand their trans identities. Oh, I got a seed in my mouth. Got seeds in my teeth. Is exploring that feeling really best done in a callous and careless way like that? Or is that something to slowly open up to someone to let them see at their own pace? Like, are you referring to like the sort of brusque and matter-of-fact way that Abigail presented this concept? Like that she didn't like soften it, and she didn't go like, obviously the feelings that we have are valid. Like, she is a trans woman who is pissed off about the fact that she had to go like explain to a doctor how she masturbates in order to get her medicine. Like, the solution to a medical system that dismisses people for not being valid enough in their feelings isn't telling people who've been traumatized by that system essentially something that could easily be misinterpreted as more dismissiveness, right? I don't think that it could be easily interpreted as dismissiveness because she wasn't attacking trans people's feelings. Like, again, I think that this is a reading comprehension problem. And like, I don't necessarily blame people for having a difficult time with the reading comprehension. I understand that we are all brain damaged from COVID at this point to some extent. But like, it just feels like the same shit of having like the way that you phrase things constantly policed because like, oh, you could have phrased it better. Like, yeah, everybody could have phrased everything better, I'm sure. But you could also like make a fucking effort to like understand. Again, I'm just saying the general you. Like, communication is a two-way street. So you can say, well, she should have said it better. But I could also say, maybe take longer to like understand what's being said instead of insisting that everybody like add a bunch of explanatory extraneous commentary because you couldn't like see the bare words as they presented themselves. Like, cis doctors came up with the concept of gender dysphoria. That's the subject of the sentence. Like, that's the subject of the tweet, is that this is a cisgender invention. This comment has nothing to do with trans people and their existence and the facts of how we feel or anything. I'm not saying that it's not on the speaker to make their point well. I'm saying that communication is a two-way street. And that like, I, as an autistic person, resent the idea that I just didn't communicate correctly and that it's not equally someone else's responsibility to make an attempt to understand what I fucking meant, instead of just insisting that I just should have said something better. Like, I don't have sympathy for the position anymore that it's like that the primary onus is on someone to communicate differently. Because communication also involves listening. Like, we're both communicating. When I'm speaking and you're listening, we're both doing communication. And if you fail your end of communication in the sense that you're trying to listen for the purpose of understanding, people are not listening for the purpose of understanding. I think there's a lot of funny brain things going on here. Yeah, I mean, like, it's like complicated and difficult. And it's like Twitter. It's not the best format for communicating ideas. It's like we've seen repeatedly that... I feel like if we've seen repeatedly that video essayists have very well articulated points in their videos that then get misinterpreted on Twitter, and that this keeps happening, at a certain point, I also think that the responsibility shifts onto the audience to fucking level up their IQ. Like, be smarter or stop engaging with the material. I think it's fine to point out there was a miscommunication here, but if there was a miscommunication, then isn't it a bit odd that Abigail followed up by saying essentially the uncharitable interpretation of what she said verbatim? Like, she straight up said gender dysphoria is fake. Even if she doesn't think what we collectively understand as gender dysphoria isn't a real thing and understands people can feel bad about their gender, she still opened with a loaded statement. I am tired of the hyper criticism toward trans women and women in general. And again, like, I think that she has every right to be dismissive of the concept of gender dysphoria. I think that, again, this is a situation where they're interpreting, like, people are interpreting the way that she responded as her being, like, dismissive of the feelings of gender dysphoria. And she literally said in the thing, she said that the sadness related to, like, how you have something different, like how you want something different than what you have. She validated that feeling. She said she even has that feeling. Like, I think that it's okay to be dismissive of a concept that you think is stupid and harmful, which is what she is. Like, people are expecting her as a philosopher to coddle people's feelings when she says that people are making a category error. She said gender dysphoria doesn't exist because I think it's a category error. Like, it's like people are honing in on one aspect of what she said and ignoring the fact that she provided more or less adequate context. I legit don't see how anybody could read what she said as digging the hole deeper. So many new people in the chat. What's up? I'm sorry I've been ignoring you. I've been very into this conversation. What's up, Flynn and Celeste? I feel like if I said autism isn't real because it was made up by a bunch of neurotypical people, I would get a similar response and it would be warranted, in my opinion. I think that in this case, she wouldn't... It's gender dysphoria. Like, I think that if she had just said dysphoria isn't real, that could have been an equivalent term. But, you know, I think, Flynn, a better example for you would be if you said autism spectrum disorder isn't real. Like, she's... Because, again, we're criticizing the construct of the diagnosis, not just, like, colloquially autism or colloquially dysphoria. Colloquially dysphoria, sure, like, that might even be a useful word. She even said that in her video. If you know, again, that's also additional context. The fact that she's a philosopher is really important here, TBH. She's clearly used to a type of reasoning and discourse that Twitter reactionary mobs just aren't, and that's not her fault. It's to her merit. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that she's good at, or not that she's not good at. I don't think that she is practiced at emotionally coddling and softening her arguments for the purpose of, like, making people not get their feelings hurt. I don't know. Like, she's just like, this is a category error. And she's speaking matter-of-factly, and people consider that, like, people, like, interpret that as being dismissive because as a woman, if she's not, like, softening her factual statements, it comes across as aggressive. This happens with disabled stuff, too, and it's frustrating. Deaf, autism, etc. Sometimes I want to shake people and ask them, do you think that the writers of the DSM invented autism? Yeah, for sure. Keep in mind, Asperger's syndrome is straight up not a real thing anymore. It's autism spectrum disorder now. But if you told someone who had Asperger's syndrome is fake at a time when it was still a valid diagnosis on the spectrum, wouldn't it be understandable if they misunderstood you? Maybe it would be understandable if you just said the phrase Asperger's syndrome is fake and you didn't contextualize it by including the details about like that it was made up on unreliable data by a bunch of cis doctors. Like, the amount of additional context in this tweet makes the comparison that you've just made absolutely silly. Like, it just feels silly. It just feels silly. The amount, like, the very clear information in this tweet. I don't know, man. Like, I'm frustrated by what feels like just a I don't want to like be. Hold on, wait. I feel like we should watch the clip from her NHS video where she makes the point very well. Do we think? Yeah, like, I guess I don't know. Am I not doing a good enough job of reiterating what her point was? How long is that section of the video? Isn't it like 20 or isn't it like 10 minutes? I don't expect people to read follow-up tweets. Maybe I just lack faith in humanity. People are acting like she said hyperfixation is fake or sensory processing issues are fake, when, yeah, in the analogy, what she's saying would be more like ASD isn't real as such. Yeah, I don't know. I agree that, like, her being a philosopher is what makes this difficult, because she is used to thinking and speaking in a certain way, and she's an academic. Like, she is not practiced at doing the kind of emotional coddling that you have to do as a woman in order to have your ideas not taken as like a personal attack. But like, you can state something matter-of-factly and people will interpret that as you like coming at them. And like, I just, having all the additional context on those things, like, okay, then just say Asperger's syndrome is a flawed diagnosis based upon shaky evidence and diagnostic criteria. That is more or less what she said. You're just demanding, not whatever. You're just asking for her to say the same fucking thing that she said with like simpler words. Like, gender dysphoria was made up based on unreliable data by a bunch of cis doctors. She's making the point that these people don't have experiential reference for what it's like to be trans, multiple of whom have since been disgraced. This entire tweet, this whole tweet, is about the construct of gender diagnosis, of gender dysphoria, as a concept of like based on faulty data. And then she reaffirms the fact that we want to transition should be enough. We shouldn't need to prove something to cis people. She says cis person's fantasy diagnosis. Like, my understanding for misinterpretations of this tweet, like, the more I look at it, the more I realize that this is ridiculous. It's absurd that this became like a fight, but in like the trans community, such that like respected trans women who have formerly been friends in previous times are now like sub-quote tweeting each other, or like sub-tweeting each other. People seemed way angrier over the short clip than the tweet. I guess I saw that Brianna Wu talked about that. She straight up said you don't have gender dysphoria in the follow-up. She said no one has gender dysphoria. She said no one. That's not like a targeted attack on trans people. Like, she said it's a category error. Checking my Discord. Oh, good grief. I still stand by the point that saying no one has ASD would get similar backlash. I mean, okay, you can insist that people are going to be stupid in a parallel universe too, just like they're equally stupid in this universe. I don't know, man. Like, yes, people will not understand even if you very specifically include the word diagnosis in your tweet. Like, even if you include the phrase category error. Like, I guess if you're just not familiar with Philosophy Tube content and you don't know what a category error is, then you could also interpret her video as being, like, dismissive. She's like, I don't think anyone has diagnosis because it's this diagnosis because it's a category error. Like, as a construct, it is not real. Like, she was clear. She was perfectly clear in all instances. And people, like, read a bunch of bullshit that she didn't say into the tweet and into the video. Because she didn't, like, soften her language. She just stated the fact as she sees it. I don't even know if she's being deliberately provocative about this. She said nobody has dysphoria in the follow-up stream to the video where she explained her point in depth. Oh, so did the video not even come from responding to these tweets? Was that video, like, literally from before this tweet and this conversation? So it wasn't like she was clarifying in this video. Okay, so that recontextualizes the video quite a bit. I might even, when I edit this later, I might even include a fucking mention earlier in the video. Yeah, Baphomet, this got clipped and put out as a follow-up to the tweet, but that was by someone else. Like, someone else clipped this from a live stream that happened, like, very shortly after the NHS video came out, which was months ago now. Where people were saying, like, in your video, you said that it seemed like you were, you know, mocking. Like, I'm just asking for a crumb of charitability to the people who are upset by this. I'm out of charitability. I'm out of charitability, I think, is part of what's happened. Like, I just don't have any grace left to give people on Twitter. It's clip chimping to disingenuously slam her. Right. Like, that makes me, and just, like, I've, like, really lost respect for a lot of people in these conversations. Oh, that's really cool, Lynn. Over in the YouTube chat, Lynn says, here in Brazil, you don't need gender dysphoria diagnosis in theory to have access to free trans healthcare because it's understood you don't need to prove your transness with a disorder diagnosis. Thank God. The clip was originally shared by someone calling her AGP. Yeah, so it seems that the clip is from months ago, and so it's not a response to this people being, like, unable to understand her tweet. Like, it's, she wrote a script and put her video out and was like, this is my actual opinion, long form in the video. And people responded to that by thinking that she was mocking people who experience the distress associated with gender dysphoria. Yeah, Warp also adds, being neurodivergent is also not a disorder and does not need to be fixed. ADHD is a bad name, so is ASD. It does not mean that taking methylphenidate does not help people like me. I mean, it's, you know, insofar as society expects you to operate a certain way, if you can't, then I guess, you know, but that's like a societal framework of what counts as a disorder as well. So, like, yeah, we're getting even more layers deep. So yeah, this is just a whole bunch of, like, a woman's very straightforward commentary being misrepresented and, like, you know, maliciously clip-chimped and things like this. As a wrap-up to this segment, I want people to be able to think, like, outside the box. Like, literally think outside the framework that has been presented to you. If you've been presented with the idea that trans people are upset about their incongruence between their sex and their gender and they really want to change their bodies because they are suicidal and they want to die, then, like, you necessarily, like, a lot of other beliefs are going to flow from that. Or like, if you don't think that you require a gender diagnosis, like a gender dysphoria diagnosis, then a lot of other beliefs are going to naturally fall from that if you're being ideologically inconsistent, or sorry, if you're being ideologically consistent. So I think the natural conclusion of like, you don't need gender dysphoria to be trans, and you shouldn't need a diagnosis in order to get healthcare, which we all understand to be common beliefs. Like, we all understand those to be like the preferable way of doing medical care, and that the medical establishment refusing to adapt to that model is a paternalistic, cisgender people think that they know better than you framework, and you have to prove to them that you deserve the healthcare that you know that you need. Like, fundamentally, this whole conversation is one about like you not having autonomy over your care, and like cisgender people having a degree of control over their lives that you are not being afforded, and that you should be willing to criticize that like, not just the system of discriminating against you versus cis people. Like, you shouldn't be seeking to then instate psychological screening on everyone who wants access to hormone blockers, or who, like, I don't know, was born with a small penis and they want to have surgery to have a bigger penis installed. Like, that happens. Like, that's part of why phalloplasty exists as a procedure, you know? Like, you don't want additional psychological screening for gender affirming care. You want less psychological screening. You want less gatekeeping for everybody. That's the natural end conclusion, is that everybody should be able to access this type of care without requiring like psychologists and therapists to confirm that you can do it. Dysphoria, though, is the depathology diagnosis. DID was the pathology. Dysphoria is a description of those in distress only. But you still are required to get a dysphoria diagnosis in order to get the testosterone. Like, they didn't diagnose me with fucking hypothyroidism. They diagnosed me with gender dysphoria. Well, yeah, the most recent time that I've been diagnosed is gender dysphoria, for sure. You know? Moral of the story is more trans doctors and nurses in trans healthcare, less gatekeeping, truly. Like, it's one of the fundamental things in Abigail's video was that she's like, trans people keep saying we want to just move to an informed consent model, and these gatekeepers are arbitrarily just deciding that they don't care what we say. They've asked us repeatedly, they've done studies, like, and they just are continuing to put more and more gatekeeping in place. Like, what are you gonna do? Oh, gosh. Oh, my God, Blanchard. I don't think we've ever talked about autogynephilia on this channel very much. I'm done with this segment, by the way, about gender dysphoria. That was like an hour long. It's going to be a bitch for me to edit later. I'm over it. I mean, we can still talk about it, like, but I'm done with the segment. Yeah, Olivia, what I'm saying is that, like, trans people who aren't in distress about their gender identity stuff. I thought you liked editing. Oh, God, kill me. Like, if you, like, a lot of trans people don't necessarily experience any distress, but the medical model still says that you need to, like, basically, if I were to go in and I were to say, like, I don't have any distress related to my gender, but I want hormones anyway, the doctor would still have to give me a diagnosis that said I was experiencing distress in order for me to get that care. Like, that's still, like, you're still requiring me to go to a doctor to give. It's like Why do I need a doctor's permission in order to go on birth control? That's another question. Like, why is birth control pills not something that you can just easily access? And you cannot bullshit me and say, because your doctor needs to, like, monitor your blood levels of estrogen and stuff to make sure you don't get blood clots. I never had a single fucking blood test before, during, or after being on birth control pills. Don't even play fucking games like that. Why do you have to go to a doctor and ask their permission to get birth control pills? We're not even always aware of our own distress. I mean, that's also true, Bobby Codes. You can be, like, not sure until you start hormones that there even was anything wrong with you before. I think Abigail's objection is to the gatekeeping being done by a transphobic medical establishment that denies care to trans people based on medical diagnosis and bureaucratic structures put in place to deny care. Yeah, exactly. Like, she is interrogating the concept of gender dysphoria and what that means for trans people trying to access care. There's 99 likes. I just want one more. It's so tasty. Om nom nom. I don't know that we've had very many. Have we had any donos tonight? I think I may have gotten a PayPal dono that didn't come through Streamlabs earlier. You should dono for the gender philosophy that I am engaging in. The high level gender thinking. I was really about to say gender, like, critical theory, and then I was like, don't say that. Oh, baby. That was a big jump in likes. Thank you. Ooh, that was good. It's worth keeping in mind as well that gender dysphoria to most trans people who haven't gone through the diagnostic process for it just means I feel bad about my gender. Yeah, again, the context was pretty clear, I felt. But see you later, Baphomet. It feels like the dysphoria diagnosis is just shafting trans people with high emotional resilience. Experiencing euphoria means it makes you happy where you were just coping previously. Birth control needing a doctor is linked to, quote, biopolitics about the state controlling bodies. I mean, for sure. Intrepid, welcome. If someone is okay with relaying what happened recently. I mean, yes, a lot of discourse about the concept of gender dysphoria. I saw a YouTuber called Jackie Lou made a video and painting about her IUD and how awful it was. I might look into that, Flynn, because I'm getting my IUD removed next week. I have only had it for about 6.5 months, and I've hated it. I mean, it's, like, convenient, I guess, that I don't have to take the pill. And the reason why I wanted to get off the pill was because I don't want to have the increased risk of blood clot that is associated with taking synthetic progestin. Or synthetic progesterone, which is progestin. But, yeah, I'm going to go back on the pill for a bit and then, like, I guess have to grapple with the very real decision about whether I'm going to permanently sterilize myself in the next couple years. So, that's great. Oh, Mama with the $5 dono. Thanks. Please call more stupid people stupid. They need it. I need to get a Phil DeFranco shirt. It says, don't be stupid, stupid. I would have bought one years ago, but then it became against Vogue in the SJW community to call people stupid. And I was like, oh, I got to be a good boy and not call people stupid. A big part of the problem is the medical system doesn't consider gender euphoria as part of the diagnostic process. Exactly. It's so annoying. I got Nexplanon because I can't take combo pills and I'm too forgetful to take the prog pill. I could also not get an IUD. They started to insert it and I stopped them because of the pain. Yeah, good call, Willow Oak. I can't get Nexplanon because it costs like $1,000. That's, if I had health insurance, it would be free. But if I had health insurance, I would be paying like more than $1,000 over the course of the year just to get coverage. And then I would have a deductible anyway. So, like, yeah. I wish I could get Medicaid. That would be great. If Kansas would expand Medicaid, that would be great. But it's not going to happen. Yay. So I cannot get the implant. There's no, like, reduced cost option for it. With the IUD, there was. They actually gave me the IUD for free because of my income. But there's no equivalent plan through Nexplanon, I don't think. In any sane world, it would be illegal to charge that much for any medicine. It lasts for like 3 to 5 years. So if you think of like $1,000 over 3 years, would you have been paying more for birth control in that time? I don't know. I guess my birth control is only like $10 a month, but also there is the risk of if you're late taking it, then you could potentially be at risk for pregnancy and ectopic pregnancy, you know. Vivi! Thank you so much for the $5 dono. They said here to fund the 10D level gender chess. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. I appreciate you guys. Hell yeah. I remember this conversation sparked up with when Hunter Schafer was supporting that transmedicalist post. Phil DeFranco just spoke about deadly fungus infections and my brain immediately went to The Last of Us. I mean, it's true. Funguses are scary and dangerous. You don't want them to be able to hurt. And yeah, actually, deadly fungus infections are on the rise right now. Presumably because of immune deficit from repeat COVID infections. We're not totally sure yet. I think all the ramifications that COVID can have on the immune system. But yeah. Come to Luxander's stream for COVID news and phalloplasty info. 2 for the price of 1. I haven't heard anything about deadly fungi yet. Yep. Deadly fungus infections are increasing. Exactly, Violet. Yeah. The evolutionary pressure of global warming causing fungi to become more resistant to higher temperatures, and therefore we might have a situation where, like, we have fungus parasite issues in our bodies. There could just be more fungus in the world if it's warming up. Like, what do you just can't do anything against it anyway. Amusingly, I started learning mycology at the start of lockdown. Seems I picked a good topic. Ooh, I actually have a book on one of my wish lists, which I guess, hey, if you didn't know, my birthday's next week. So here's a couple of wish lists. If you want to get me something for my birthday, no pressure, but it's there if you want it. On one of my wish lists, there is a mushroom identification book, which I would love to put in my bathroom for the times when I'm pooping and want to learn about mycology. The Last of Us, the TV show, not the game. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know anything about it. Oh, thanks for the sub, Tom. Yeah, y'all who are not subscribed out there, go ahead and click subscribe. Oh my god. Click the bell. Oh my god. I need to find those articles on soil-borne fungus diseases. Oh god, it's horrendous. You're the last of us to watch the show. I always am. I'm such a resistant bitch. Like, I always wait such a long time to watch shows and stuff. Bex, welcome in. Welcome to the website. We appreciate you. Tangent, do you have plans to do a stream on neopronouns? This they-them linguist has opinions and wants to plug Kirby Conrad. I am not familiar with Kirby Conrad. I don't have any plans to do a stream on neopronouns, but I guess I could do a segment on neopronouns, because I don't know that I've really talked about it on the channel yet. I mean, I talked about neopronouns a bit in my video where I was like, I'm coming out as agender and using its pronouns, but that was more like a vloggy personal video rather than something informative. The paperback book on mushrooms. Yeah, I think that there's like a paperback book on mushrooms, like edible mushrooms. The people who didn't watch Game of Thrones because they wanted to see if the series turned out well before watching seemed like crackpots at first, but are now prophets. There were like 4 seasons out when I watched it. And I think it was really good for those 4 seasons, for sure. Yeah, perfect. Don't watch another episode. Well, yeah, the only content that was out at the time was like up to season 4, and I think season 5 came out while I was making my way through the rest of the material. And then the rest of the seasons I watched as they came out. In fairness, if you skip the last 3 episodes, it's great. I truly think the last good episode of the show was, we might get back into politics in a second, y'all. Like, I have at least one other political thing, by the way. I realize we're losing people. We're just, like, taking a breather in between segments right now, okay? We'll fucking get back to it in a second. Game of Thrones, the last good episode of the show was season 8, episode 2. We had a couple of payoffs. We had some character moments. There's a specific word for the kind of episode that is. Like, something in a bottle. I don't know. What I really want is an Arya spin-off series. Oh, good grief. I might take a quick moment to refill my water and use the restroom real quick. And then I'll come back. And then, do you mean a filler episode? No, I did not mean a filler episode. I meant, like, the events are kind of self-contained and they happen in, like, one location. And, like, there's, like, it's, like, a pretty short amount of time. Bottle episodes are contained storylines in one episode. Okay, yeah, I guess that's kind of what I was trying to get at, but maybe that's not exactly the phrase that I should have been using. Anyway. Okay, I don't need all these links open from Twitter anymore. Get out of here, Twitter links. It's like a character study contained in an episode of a show, usually. Right. Like, there's basically only, like, one... I mean, yeah. So a bottle episode, like Doctor Who, for example, Midnight would be a bottle episode because it's, like... It has nothing to do with the rest of the show. It's not exactly a filler episode, but it is like a bottle episode. Like, it does not influence much of the rest of the plot of the 4th season of Doctor Who. Which one's Midnight? It's the one on the planet Midnight where Donna is, like, at the spa or whatever, and the doctor is like, oh, I'm gonna go on a trip in this little trolley to go out on this planet where the sun is, like, extremely deadly. It's like a purple, extremely deadly sun planet. And then there's, like, a monster that, like, infects the bodies of one of the people on board, you know? Oh, wait, do we got Trump news? Is there Trump news breaking live? Reports say that Trump will be arraigned tomorrow. We'll see. Okay, I'm not going to hold my breath because people also said that yesterday. People yesterday were like, ooh, Trump is going to get arrested tomorrow. And, like, that didn't happen. Oh, that's funny. Midnight is mentioned on the Wikipedia page for bottle episodes. I understood. With my big brain. I am that, is it a Wojak? I'm that meme right now where the guy is, like, his brain is, like, gigantic and he's sitting on his brain like a throne. That's me, big brain boy. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna take a drink and take a piss and I'll be back momentarily. Like the stream if you have not already, my loves. Don't be bad while I'm gone. Also, free churro from BoJack Horseman. Damn, that's a good episode. Yeah, I showed my dad that episode. water time. Oh, it's time for water. Ooh, yeah. See you later, y'all. Gotta have to rewatch BoJack. Yeah. Appreciate the Doctor Who reference. I'm in the middle of season 3 of Doctor Who right now. The Tennant and Martha. Hey, I was watching that wall. No more wall allowed. It's not your wall. It's my wall. Build a wall? Anyway. Yeah, honestly, I would say that it's not worth watching Game of Thrones, TBH, because of, like, the message of the show ends up being kind of bad. But BoJack Horseman is super worth watching if you're willing to grapple with the difficult material. What happened in the Churro episode again? It was, he went to a funeral. Is what happens in that episode. Flynn! Oh, yes, welcome. Super Dr. Hulock from the YouTube chat. Yes. Okay, yeah, you're into Doctor Who. I see. Yes. I love Tennant, but honestly, my favorite companions are with Smith, so I can never choose which seasons I enjoy. I think... So David Tennant used to be like... I was like, he's my doctor. He's my heartthrob. He's my heartthrob doctor. But I actually think I like Smith better. Because here's why. Because Smith's doctor is a villain. Or, okay, he's an anti-hero, okay? Okay, he's an anti-hero. Okay, I used the wrong word. He's an anti-hero. And I think I actually like him better. Like, honestly, Matt Smith's representation of the Doctor was, like, the main reason why I watched House of the Dragon. Like, I was like, oh, I'm hoping that this ends up being good. Because it's Game of Thrones, and I hope it's good. But mainly I was like, oh, Matt Smith is playing a bad guy. Like... I know the character in the show that he's playing is like a morally gray character, but kind of a bad guy. And I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly who he is on Doctor Who. Like, he's kind of a bad guy. I mean, if we're being honest, Tennant is hot. I think Tennant is hot too, yeah. But I think Matt Smith is hotter. Like, I think he's hotter now. I honestly, it's changed. I'm older and I like, scary men with like really strong brow ridges that cast deep shadows over their eyes. Anyway, see ya, Lynn. Thank you for hanging out so much. Looking through the wish list, some stuff won't let me send because I'm in the UK, I guess. Oh, that sucks. Ah, that's a bummer. There's like 3 different playlists. I don't know if there's anything on any of them that would be... I mean, it's, if you want to just do a dono through the website, that is always totally fine too. I'll get myself something. If you dono to me tonight, I'll contribute that money toward my birthday dinner. See ya, Timerinia. No worries. Tennant and his wife vocally support trans people, so we love that. I think one of their kids is non-binary. I've seen Tennant wearing like a little tiny non-binary like flag stitched onto his sweater. Do they? I think they do. Does David Tennant have a trans child? Let's get Lux lit. I am planning on having a glass of wine with my dinner. Like, I have never done that. Wait, is that true? Oh my God. I'm like about to turn 29, and I've never had a glass of wine with my dinner at a restaurant before. Okay. Anyway, yes. So I'm going to have a glass of red wine with my dinner when I go out to eat for my birthday. So any, $7 dono anybody gives me, that will go toward the glass of wine. Right. Yes. Pedro Pascal has a transgender sister. She used to identify as non-binary, and then she came out as a trans woman, and he was like, this is amazing and fantastic. And he's so supportive. I'm 29 and I hate wine. Give me the vodka. Wine certainly has a lot of tannins in it. That's what I will say. Excuse me. Oh my God, David Tennant and his wife have fucking 5 children. I can't remember her name. I feel bad. Georgia. Her name is Georgia, of course. Okay, here's a Metro article. Yes, I'm using an ad blocker. Leave me alone, Metro. Jesus. I work at a winery on weekends and they can be made without tannins. Well, I mean, red wine, I prefer red wine, and it just makes me so sleepy. It makes me so sleepy. I heard he defended trans people to Gina Carano at one point. IDK if it was on the set of The Mandalorian, but you can bet that having the star of the show be pro-trans rights factored into getting Gina's maggot ass booted. Oh my God. Depends what kind of wine it is. I like a Pinot, or actually I prefer a Cabernet. I prefer a Cabernet Sauvignon. That's the kind of wine that I usually go for, because they're yummy. I need to watch all these Pedro Pascal like shows. Like he has The Mandalorian and The Last of Us. Like I'm fucking behind. Ooh, Zuki! Thank you so much for the $12 dono for birthday din-dins or mushroom-related things. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I don't know. I'm just psychedelics. I don't have very much experience with psychedelics, TBH. But thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's a birthday, and I can't sing the copyrighted one. I almost did, though. Is like happy birthday from all of us to you. Is that one copyrighted too now? Who the fuck knows? Yeah, people are super weird about Pedro Pascal, and they keep like grabbing his butt and stuff. Yeah, Dono Bar disappeared. Did it come back? It should be back now. Yeah, it always disappears temporarily when I update it. I don't trust my brain without psychedelics. Couldn't it just be classed as a cover? So here's the thing about copyright on YouTube nowadays. For y'all who don't know, I was explaining this to my partner recently. When you are a YouTube creator, if you want to cover a song, you have to have a license. In the same way that if you're a regular musician with a record label, your record label has to, unless you work for the same record label as the person you're trying to cover, it might be a little bit easier in that context. But as a YouTuber, if you want to make a cover, you're supposed to buy a license, like in order to monetize that content. If you're okay with not monetizing it, and in fact for the original creator to monetize it, and you run the risk of them deciding to make your content invisible, like you are open to all the same legal liability shit, like at the very minimum losing your income on the video. So you have to get a license in order to do, so when I sing little bits of songs in my streams, I'm breaking that rule. And the reason that I know this is because when you're watching like Good Mythical Morning and, Mythical Kitchen and stuff, like they can't even just sing little bits or clips of songs because legally that's considered, it's not like a strike on your channel, but it is lost revenue, Birthday song, super illegal though. Oh, Andy's nice. My birthday was Saturday. Am 29. Much wiser now. Are you also an Aries? You're right on the cusp there if you're not an Aries. Birthdays are legal. I hope they are, because I'm going to have a hell of a birthday on Monday. I don't even really have plans beyond, like, I'm not going to work that day and I'm going to go out to dinner. Like, I don't have really anything else planned. I just want to have, like, a good day. And that's why Hooters has their own birthday song. Exactly. Like, that's why they don't sing traditional happy birthday in most restaurants. They go like, happy birthday from all of us to you. We wish it was our birthday so we could party too. Hey. Or like whatever their custom version of that is. IP laws are kind of fucked. Yeah, it's super weird. But like I said, it's not like a copyright strike. It's not generally a legal issue, but it is a lost income issue. Hey, Peanut Butter Blondie, welcome in. I have friends who work for a state mental hospital. 90% of newly admitted patients are due to drugs, psychedelics, fentanyl, PCP, and the zombie drug called Trank. Well, yeah, sure, fucking fentanyl and PCP, yes. I don't think, like, mushrooms tend to send people into a psychiatric hospital. Oh, good grief. Oh, there's still like 60 people in here. You know, maybe we should do a little bit more news today. Do we have more news today? It's only 7 o'clock. Oh man, I'm looking forward to dinner later though. I'm excited about dinner. I haven't had any solid food today. I just had like an enormous multi-serving delicious smoothie. I see so many covers on YouTube because I love music, and it's sad knowing they don't get any money for their work. If they buy a license, then they do get money for their work. They do. Did you hear about the law that prevents people talking about... Yeah, I did. Do we also have the Florida report? Oh, good grief. There's so much politics all the time. I know people who got theirs at like 9. Yeah, precocious puberty is a bitch. Anyway. Because there was another thing about menstrual stuff in Florida. Yes. Hold on. Jesus. Pop-ups. Come on, pop-ups. Get the hell out of here. I was one of those kids who needed that talk from a teacher as a 9-year-old. That sounds awful. At least my mom prepared me. Like, my mom told me when I was, like, 7 about periods. Man. Y'all, in Minecraft is not, listen, hold on. It's not, you can't say in Minecraft and have that be, like... It doesn't work like that anymore. Man arrested after making Minecraft death threat to sheriff. Like, a 38-year-old man has been arrested in South Brunswick, New Jersey after allegedly posting a death threat targeting a sheriff in Florida and ending his statement with the words, "in Minecraft." You actually can't do that anymore, y'all. Like, you can't do this anymore. You'll get arrested. 'Cause... like, saying in Minecraft is not enough to make it not a threat. Someone said to shoot this policeman in the head and he stops being a problem, they have to find a new guy to be the problem. But shooting him in the head solves an immediate problem permanently. Just shoot him in the head and murder him in Minecraft. He got arrested for that. You have to say game end? Oh, gosh. What about Roblox? I don't think it would work that way either. Good night, Warp. Good night. Okay, so there's this, and there's this, and there's this. Oh gosh, my throat is so sore today. The allergies thing. It's that time of year already. Yeah, it is really frustrating, Mama Mephistopheles. Like, it stops being fun to talk about at a certain point. Yeah, Florida is proving itself to be just as ridiculous and fascistic as ever. It's been a little while since we talked about this one in particular, but I just want to mention before we get on to the new news that there was talk in Florida about doing the thing that some states are doing, which is trying to make it so that you need to, report your sex assigned at birth in order to get on a sports team at your school. And they also were considering having it be like you have to answer questions about your period and like when you last had a menstrual cycle in order to get on like the sports team for the girls. So that was something that was being talked about previously. It has been knocked down. Here's this one. It has been knocked down. High school athletes won't have to report their periods after emergency vote, but they were going to make this form like have, you're meant to put your sex assigned at birth on the form now instead of just sex. And they were going to ask for info about your periods, but they, at the last minute, decided not to. I think literally today. No, that was like a month ago. So they actually decided not to do this. But at the same time that they're considering doing silly shit like this, they are going to ban speaking about menstrual periods in elementary school, which means that like kids with precocious puberty who experience periods early, they're going to just not be able to know what's going on here. There's legislation moving in on the Florida House banning discussion of menstrual cycles and other human sexuality topics in elementary grades. Like human sexuality, like it's fucking baffling to me that human sexuality is a phrase that people think applies to like bleeding out of your vagina. Yeah, it's such a sexy experience, y'all. Let me tell you. It's so erotic. Oh man. The bill was sponsored by Republican Rep Stan McClain, and the bill would restrict public school instruction on human sexuality, sexually transmitted diseases, and related topics from grades 6 through 12. Oh God, all the way up through high school. McClain confirmed at a recent committee meeting that discussions about menstrual cycles would also be restricted. Oh, sorry. They're saying that you can't speak about any of these things from grade 5 and below. Okay. So from grade 6 up, you would be able to discuss these things, which does mean that, little girls who start their period at age 8, if their mom didn't know that they were going to start their period that soon, like a teacher wouldn't be allowed to talk about it. Like they would not be allowed to like get that kid a pad and like educate the child on what the discussion, like on what was happening to their body. So yeah, if little girls experience their menstrual cycle in 5th or 4th grade, will that prohibit conversations from them since they are in the grade lower than 6th? Asked Representative Ashley Gant. She noted that girls as young as 10 can begin having periods. It's younger than that. It's like age 8, like is the youngest I've heard of. And McClain confirms it would. Like confirms, like somebody in the chat was saying it earlier, this is like a horror story situation. Imagine like you're a little girl and like you go to the bathroom and there's like blood fills the toilet because frankly, that's what happens sometimes, like especially on that first day. It's heavy as shit on that first day. And like you're bloated and you feel awful and you go to the bathroom and you poop weird, like because it affects your bowels. And then you get up from the toilet and there's like weird poop filled with blood. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? You don't know where the blood's coming from. You don't know why it's happening. Like you go to the school nurse, or you probably go to your teacher first. You go to your teacher because you need permission to go to the nurse. And you say like, I am having this issue and I'm bleeding and I'm scared. And like, can you just imagine how terrifying that would be? And like, yes, everybody's going to say, oh, the parents have a responsibility to teach their kids. Like, yeah, you don't usually anticipate that your 8-year-old is going to start their period. It's typically not until like age like 13 to 15 is probably closer to the average. My mom educated me about it when I was really young, but I don't think that that's generally considered the norm, or like it depends, or sometimes parents like let the school decide when it's appropriate. So they just let the school do the sex education part. Like you ever have a single dad who, has like a daughter. I have a friend who is a single dad and had a daughter, and like he had to teach her about that shit because her mom wasn't around. And like, what are you going to do in a situation where the guy just doesn't have the info because when he went to school, boys and girls were separated. And so he didn't learn about periods or any of that shit. I have literally been there, and I was in the bathroom until they reported me missing from class. I needed that help. Right, where you just like, it's like terrifying. Like at age 9, you would have just not had any help if the teachers couldn't have told, like, what, I mean, I guess, does this law apply to the school nurse? Can the teacher just say, oh, I'm gonna just take you to the school nurse, and then the nurse is allowed to educate you about it? Is that how that works? Or is it just in grade schools, period, you're not allowed, period, lel, you're not allowed to discuss this? Like, yeah, you're terrified at that age. You have no idea what's going on. Most schools don't have their own nurse anymore. Really? That's interesting. I guess I graduated a long time ago, so I wouldn't know what's going on lately. They said they're, quote, considering rewording this bill to make an exception, but no changes have actually been made to the bill yet. Yeah. Yeah, McLean says that would not be the intent of the bill and that he is amenable to some changes to the language. The measure must be approved by another committee before it can reach the House floor, and a similar bill is pending in the Senate. So, I mean, it's just more like stupid bullshit from increasingly fascist Florida, where I know several people who are just like, I don't know what to do. And like, keep in mind, y'all, that it's not as though it's been a pleasant place to live in Florida for a few years anyway. The Pulse shooting happened there. You know, it's hasn't been a great place for trans and queer people for a while anyway. So many notifications. I also probably just need to like turn off like Twitch notifications, because I don't watch people who stream on Twitch. I mean, I just don't watch live streams in general, I guess, but any change to this bill besides lighting it on fire is not sufficient. Truly, like, I think that this is part of a bill that is attempting to add on to the Don't Say Gay bill. Is that what this, like, what is, like, because the purpose of the bill is limiting instruction on human sexuality, sexually transmitted diseases, and such related topics. Like, currently, the Don't Say Gay bill goes up to grade 3. I'll post a link up here for the recording later, about when we discussed the Don't Say Gay bill. But it's like up to age 8, like up to grade 3, they're not allowed to talk about sexual orientation topics. And so this is an additional bill adding on to the restrictions of what you're not allowed to discuss regarding human sexuality. And yeah, in this particular wording, because it's written by a man who didn't consider the idea that an elementary aged girl might need to know about periods, wrote it in such a way that, yeah, it could be broadly applied to little girls who start bleeding at a very young age. Like, what a time to be transgender or female or black or Native American or literally anything. Like, this whole country has been bad to all of us the entire time. It's fucked. It's so fucked. If there weren't innocent people stuck in Florida, I'd say we should just crack it off and let it drift out to sea. No, we just need to throw away the whole country. We need to throw the whole country out. It's not going to get better by cutting off, like, particularly nasty appendages. The infection, it's blood poisoning now, y'all. It's not just an infection of an appendage. It's not like you can cut the finger off and save the arm. Nah, the whole thing needs to be put down. Yeah, time to euthanize America. Exactly. Yeah, Yellowstone when? It's insane that these people these people don't have any idea about anything outside their privileged bubbles, and they write laws about what we can and can't do. Truly. Transplant Florida with another Caribbean island. We're just going to absorb another Caribbean island. Water sucks. It really, really sucks. It doesn't actually. That's just what comes into my head. Oh, yeah. Yep. This is man arrested. You can't say in Minecraft anymore. Transplanting problem animals and releasing lab critters in the Everglades. That sounds like a very cold job. Sounds like it involves being outside a lot. I had at least one other thing on the list for today. Oh no, you know what? I need those links back open because I need to put them in my show notes. I have show notes and I want them in my show notes. I need the links. I need the links in my show notes. What was that subject? Florida menstruation. I keep organized, y'all. Like a couple of months ago, Poppy from the Xena and Poppy channel was like, hey, does anybody know about some notes about this bill that happened recently? And I like went to my show notes and was like, here are the links from my show notes. And she was like, ah, yes, show notes. That's a good idea. I'm like, I am ADHD. I would not remember fucking what I was meaning to talk about that day or what I did talk about on a previous day if I did not have show notes. They're not like robust. It's just like, here's the links that I decided to talk about this day. I swear to God, I've never heard a single positive thing about Florida. Maybe I'm just too Canadian, but I only hear people complain about that place. It's warm, and the beaches are nice. I mean, they were nice-ish like 20 plus years ago, the last time I was there. I mean, I enjoyed being at the beach 20 plus years ago when I was there. Disney World, I've been to Disney World, but I was like 5 or 4, so I don't remember it. It has delicious oranges. Oh. Florida just proved that they will allow absolutely any disease to run rampant for the sake of freedom. These folks talk about security a lot, but any actual bioweapon attack would destroy them and probably the rest of us as well. Wait, did some news from Florida come about COVID? Like, oh God, yeah, Zuki, there are people who unironically think that a tampon is a pleasurable thing, like that you put it in and it feels good. It's horrendous. They have nice beaches when there isn't an active bloom. That is it. I have no desire to go to Florida again. My brother's dad's family is from there, but oh, just DeSantis was absolutely defiant toward any and all COVID precautions. I'm so exhausted about fucking COVID. Like, I'm having some like sensitivity and pain in one of my teeth. And I was like, oh, it would be great if I could go. I know that I need fillings. I got some x-rays a couple years ago and I know that I need fillings. And I don't want to go to a dentist and get fillings because I don't think that they're going to be wearing N95s. I'm going to have to and also I don't have dental insurance. So that's like a whole other thing. I would like to start getting fillings this year. That would be great because I've been putting it off since I was a student. I went to school 3 years ago and it was while I was a student that I got all those, that I got the x-rays. I got my teeth cleaned and I got x-rays. So I haven't had my teeth cleaned since 3 years ago. And now I want to start getting, they won't be wearing N95s, just surgical masks. And they might not even be wearing surgical masks. So I would have to call up someplace and be like, hey, what kind of COVID precautions are you all taking there? And can I request that you wear N95s while I am being treated by you because I am just going to have my mouth open the entire time? My dentist had me sign a COVID exposure waiver. No, fuck you. Absolutely not. You need to take precautions and not have me sign a fucking waiver. Under no circumstances. I have empathy on the dentist thing. I have so much work that needs doing, but no COVID-19 precautions are being taken, right? I'm like gonna have to post on my Facebook, which has some local friends on it, and be like, hey, like, where do I go for dentistry? Is there anywhere safe? Who will take someone who doesn't have insurance? Dentists here wear masks and a face shield. Where do you live, Corpse Candy? I'll go there. I do think, I do actually think it might be worth dental insurance. I might see if I can buy some dental insurance, because that might actually be worth it for the like the kind of dental work that I need done. I don't need like root canals or anything. Ontario, ugh. I want to go to Canada. I'm still wearing my mask even though everyone here has stopped. Good. You should be wearing a mask. You should be wearing an N95. Delta Dental is a good company for insurance. Yeah, I might look into it. Because all I need is like fillings. And I used to go to a sliding scale clinic. So the last time I got x-rays, it was at this clinic. And they were going to do like a sliding scale dentistry place. And they were going to do like 60 or 70 bucks per filling, because of my income, like the sliding scale thing. So that was cool. I could have gotten that done, but then I became a student and didn't have income. So, and like, I don't know how much it would cost at somewhere that wasn't sliding scale. So that's another barrier for sure. I've been so tempted to stop, but I'm still paranoid. Paranoid is not the right word for it, Yvette. Like, third leading cause of death in the United States. Millions of people permanently disabled. Okay, listen. You know what? We're watching a video. We're gonna watch a video together. Because I don't know if people understand the consequences that we're talking about when we're talking about long COVID. How long is this? This is only 5 minutes. Okay, so we only have 5 minutes for this video. We'll watch it together. Yeah. Do any of you know Physics Girl? YouTube channel Physics Girl? She's like a peppy, skinny lady, right? Content creator. She kind of slowed down making content sometime last year, didn't she, huh? Yeah? What happened? Let's find out. This is Simone Giertz.
It's not Diana, obviously. My name is Simone. Diana is one of my best friends, and people often get the two of us mixed up, so maybe that's something. As you might know, last year Diana got COVID, and over the last couple of months, she's slowly gotten worse to the point where her condition has become potentially life-threatening.
Yeah, Simone Giertz, this woman, she makes the weird robots, like the robot that like slaps you awake and the robot that like badly pours you a cereal, and she got a brain tumor and now she's better. So this is from before she got sick. This footage.
Hey, I'm Diana, and you're watching Physics Girl. What do I do with my hands? My head is not. Make a clip.
Just to clarify, Simone, the one who opened the video, is the one who had a brain tumor. She's fine now, but so Physics Girl, Diana, I can't remember. She is the one being pictured right now.
Emergency? What is your emergency?
My wife needs to go to the emergency room.
I just wish that I had that kind of love and devotion in my life. Like, I don't know if there's anyone in my life who, if I got seriously ill like that, would be would be there and having my back that way. It's like the amount of work that goes into like caring for someone who has ME/CFS. Like, she's very seriously ill. Yeah.
Diana's health has spiraled down to the point where she can barely move. Like, she can't feed herself. And in the past week, she has been to the ER twice. Diana has long COVID, and that has triggered something called ME/CFS. It's a chronic fatigue syndrome that is extremely debilitating, and Kyle, her husband, has become her full-time caretaker. Her mom visits and helps as much as she can, but her condition keeps her limited from seeing any other friends or family right now because it's too exhausting for her. So lately, the way her other friends and I have been staying in touch with her is that we send little updates about our day to her husband, Kyle, and then he reads them for her at night because she hasn't been well enough to read text messages by herself. So,
Like, this is what you risk every time you go outside without a mask. Like, you are risking not being well enough to read text on your phone. Like, it's very, very, very serious, this shit.
yeah, it's bad. And it looks like the road to recovery is going to be way longer than any of us ever expected. And we have all just been scrambling to find ways to help in this kind of impossible situation. And I know that there are a lot of you who have followed her for a long time and who have been looking for ways to help too. And Diana has a Patreon page. And I also know that when I went through health problems of my own, Patreon was the only thing that kept me afloat during that time. Levi, who is her editor and videographer, is still posting some stuff on there, including some health updates. And
They still post shorts and stuff on the channel from previous recordings.
I just want to clarify that this is not something that Diana has asked me to do. Like, I've talked to her friends and family about it, and honestly, I'm excited for a time where she's well enough to maybe be upset with me for posting this. I'm just trying to help a friend, and Patreon is something that I know helped me a tremendous amount when I was ill. So if you've been looking for a way to help, I think Patreon is your best option. I know that she really wishes that she could be here, and I know that a lot of you are rooting for her, and we are too. But right now, she just has to focus on getting better. She hopefully is going to be treated at a long COVID specialist clinic soon, and they're constantly developing new treatment methods. So we're all staying very hopeful. So yeah, that's the update. Happy physicsing?
It's like really, really sad. it's like so sad. And she
Look at
also
this.
just here.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
She's had long hair for a long time,
She's over it.
and she cut it off.
Yep. So she's been wanting to cut off her hair, because it's so hard to manage it. She just lays down all day, So she started out, she just wanted to cut this off right now. A lot of women going through this, you cut off, a bunch of their hair because it's just unmanageable when you're laying down all day.
Oh man, she's got such long, nice hair.
I know.
Crazy.
She's just over it. Like, I imagine... Oh, I'm gonna cry. I imagine that this has to be, like, a really powerful moment of agency taking for her. Like, she can't really do much, but she can, like, have the agency to cut her hair. Yeah. Like, I already have a vasculitic inflammatory disorder with mad fatigue. Been where Diana is. Do not need COVID. For sure. Like, it's a very serious thing. And yeah, there's also the cases where someone gets COVID, goes into a coma, and then dies 2 months later, right? All the medical facilities in my state still require masks and give temp checks. My oldest kid has had COVID 3 times and had a heart attack in September. They think it's celiac related, but we are skeptical. I really think that they should get screened for, yeah, a 31-year-old, not a child. I think that they should be screened. She should be screened for blood clots, like whatever extensive blood testing can be done for blood clots needs to be done for sure. Because it's like microclotting in the blood that seems to be one of the primary causes of the symptoms associated with long COVID. Like, it seems like it might be. She had 3 of them already? Oh, like she had already had the blood clot testing done? Damn, it's fucking scary though. Like Merrick, if any of you know Merrick DeVille, I follow her on Twitter primarily, but she is a streamer as well. And a sex worker. She has like micro blood clots. 3 clots since the heart attack. Oh my God. Yeah, she needs to be on like blood thinners or whatever is given to people with serious blood clots. Like that's like you need like a full body transfusion of blood thinners. Holy shit, dude. So yeah, hold on. Actually, so I'm going to post this link because all of you who are having issues with people in your lives who don't fucking understand how serious COVID is, people who don't understand the risk of death, if they're not worried about the risk of death, like when I say I mask like my life depends on it, I don't mean like my existence depends on it. I mean like the life that I live. Like not only do I not want to die, I do not want to end up fucking permanently bedridden. I don't know how long I would last in a permanently bedridden situation before I decided to kill myself. Like, I don't know how worth it would be. And I'm not saying people with ME/CFS should kill themselves or anything. I'm saying I personally don't know if I would be able to handle like that loss. Hello, kids with the cats. Welcome. Thank you for the sub. Appreciate you being here. Oh, I'm bitching about COVID right now. I'm not leaving the house with you wearing that mask. People will think you're weird, is what my mom says. I think it's a fucking embarrassment if I go somewhere and the person I'm with is not wearing a mask. I'm like embarrassed to be seen with you. The life we all had pre-COVID was destroyed. Now we have to struggle to maintain this second-tier life to avoid going much further down or dying entirely. So allegedly, pandemics have a tendency to chill the fuck out after about 5 years. But I think that what actually ends up happening in that situation is that, like, all of the people who can't coexist with the virus, or in this case, with multiple different strains of the virus, will just die. And you'll end up with like a more virally resistant humanity at the end of that. Like, I'm not advocating a eugenicist policy. I'm just saying objectively what happens is like herpes used to kill people, right? And now, for the most part, if you're an adult and you come into contact with herpes, I mean, yes, I'm just saying, like, hold on, Jimsy, in the sense that herpes used to kill people and now it doesn't. Like, unless you get exposed as a baby, that can kill you for sure. But for the most part, when you are an adult and you come into contact with herpes, it doesn't kill you. At one time in the past, there was a time when like people were dying from it. And so now the only people who are alive are people whose bodies can coexist with the virus in them all the time, right? Was Physics Girl vaccinated? I must assume that she was. I mean, I assume that she was. But the thing is that vaccination status doesn't seem to have any bearing on whether you develop long COVID. But the issue with like COVID versus herpes is that there's only really like 2 major strains of herpes, whereas there's a fuck ton of different strains of COVID. It's a rapidly mutating virus. So you end up with multiple different strains of COVID giving you post-viral complications. So it might well be longer than 5 years because like the people will die who are going to die from it. And then there are going to be people who get severely disabled and aren't able to reproduce because they're severely disabled. And so then gradually we could end up in a situation where we do kind of more or less coexist with COVID, and it doesn't severely debilitate that many people anymore because all of the people that it would have severely debilitated have died. It's like an evolutionary pressure toward us being virally resistant. Yeah, so a little more like flu, but people do still die from flu. Like, right, you know, we should be still trying to mask up when we have the flu. I've had flu before and it fucking sucks, dude. I literally thought I was gonna die. Like the one time I had major flu a couple years ago, and I spent the entire day like drinking water and like throwing it back up and feeling like I was gonna die and like being in and out of consciousness and like my stomach roiling the entire day, like major stomach bug. And yeah, I literally thought I was gonna die. I was like, I asked my partner to check up on me frequently because I was afraid to fall asleep because I thought I was gonna die. Like I was having a panic attack at the same time as having severe flu symptoms. It sucked balls. Here in Australia, everyone has stopped wearing masks too. I still wear a mask everywhere I go. I sadly had to stop wearing N95s for a while because of rhinoplasty. Oh yeah. I hope that you got back into it as soon as you were able to. Oh, I never even really thought about that. Because I've been talking recently about getting septoplasty, perhaps, like getting screened to see if I do have like a deviated septum. And yeah, it didn't even occur to me. I guess I would have to be careful with the inability to wear a mask after my rhinoplasty. I mean, or after septoplasty. I would probably just start getting things delivered, and I just wouldn't go anywhere while I was healing from it. That's how I would handle it for sure. But I work from home, so I can make that choice. Yeah, exactly. Even before the pandemic, in other countries, it is normal to wear a mask when you're feeling sick, just as a courtesy. And here, selfish idiots would rather throw a nationwide hissy fit than wear a piece of cloth to save their neighbor's life or even their own life. Yeah, Americans, like, we've been weird toward the Asian tendency to wear masks for a while. And I remember people saying, like, oh, it's because it's so smoggy there, they have to wear masks outside. But it's actually just because it's fucking polite. It's just, like, politeness and being considerate of other people is normal in their culture. My surgeon recommended I stop wearing N95s, but can still wear surgical masks as they won't put as much pressure on the nose. I mean, yeah, it's just, it's like the seal is non-existent on a surgical mask. You need a seal, and that's why the N95 is better. But it's, you know, do what you got to do. You probably still have to go to work and stuff, so I'm not going to chastise you. I'm just saying for your personal risk assessment. I've been wheezy since COVID, and that was 4 months ago. Yeah, I might wear a mask for the rest of my life. I don't like being perceived. Can't stand surgical masks, but KN95s are best. N95s are a little bit better than KN95s. They usually fit a little bit better, and they're also more highly rated, I believe. I'm not familiar with KF94s. I just personally would recommend going to Home Depot and getting some N95s. I got COVID pre-vaccine, and this happened to me. It seems to have abated now. I mean, it's still bothersome to have symptoms, and it's like, I mean, I have minor things. Like, I fuck up when I'm typing a lot more than I used to. I think I got the Delta wave, and so my post-viral complication is fairly minor, but I have had COVID, I'm pretty sure, at least once. I didn't test. I don't know why I didn't test. I just didn't. But I ended up, like, just not having very strong symptoms after the fact. But every recurrent infection means you can get more, I don't know. There's more of a chance of you getting permanently disabled every time. Our culture of individualism and bootstraps has led people to believe it is completely okay for them to be selfish. The American dream is literally to enrich yourself on the backs of others and do charity if you kind of feel like it. There's no sense of communal responsibility. I do think that is one of the main problems that we're dealing with, is people are like, well, I am allowed to make my risk assessment. I can decide if I want to risk my life going outside and raw dogging everybody's fucking COVID air. But they don't seem to recognize that their desire to exercise that freedom means that I'll never get to exercise mine. Like the fact that they think that they're allowed to take risks, but like people who for them isn't, for us it's like an unacceptable risk, then they just think it's okay to banish us from society. Like people just don't get. It's like the Nazis showing up to a protest thing. When people say like, oh, both sides should get an opportunity to say what they want without any violence happening to them. But like realistically, if Nazis show up to somewhere, then gay people can't be there because the Nazi presence is a danger. So like if you let Nazis hang out at your bar, eventually only Nazis are going to go there because they're a threat to so many other people. It's exactly like the tolerance of the intolerant. Yeah. When I got COVID, there was a shortage of tests in my area, and they didn't test you unless you were, like, unable to breathe. They said just stay home and that's it. Yeah, when the BBC has a TERF on a gender discussion panel, it's not the equality or impartiality they think it is. Like, the fact that you're expected to have conversations and try to be reasonable with people who want you dead. And it's fundamentally the same thing with COVID. It's like, if you are willing to engage with this risk, then you are willing to put my life in danger. Like if you're out there without a mask, because one-way masking only goes so far, like you are putting my life in danger. It sucks that the law wouldn't agree with me, but I kind of truly feel that if someone without a mask comes within like 4 feet of your body, that you should have the right to like self-defense, like physical self-defense. Like, I think that if a maskless person comes within your perimeter, like, that should be considered assault. And, like, if you like, physically strike them or touch them to get them out of your airspace, like, you should have the right to that. In the sense that, like, we have prosecuted people for seemingly deliberately infecting others with HIV. Like, that's a crime in places, and people have been arrested for it. The people who whine about masks and the people who want to ban trans healthcare is a circle. Oh my God, really? My parents would rather us look normal than wear a mask. Ugh. So weird. It's frustrating how many of them go on about freedom when they're literally putting lives at risk. Yeah. But they're like, so it's basically, they're setting the bar for like, if you want to participate in society, you have to be willing to just die. Spontaneously just die. Like, I already have a heart condition. I have one of the autonomic conditions that COVID can give you. I don't want more bullshit. Like, it's already so hard. It's already so hard. I have like multiple different disabilities, all at like fairly mild levels, but combined, like, it's debilitating. As a disabled person, trust me, you don't want to be disabled. You don't want to have to change your career. Like, you don't want to lose the ability to enjoy things and go places. Yeah, with Otro says, that sounds so lame. Looking normal. What about safety? Yeah, people would rather not get weird looks than actually live like a normal, long life. Did I have anything else for tonight? We're hitting that 3-hour mark. I've been wanting to make a leather Nausicaa mask that I can wear an N95 under. Ooh, that would be cool. Wow, Timely says, I spent 3 years in bed unable to form new memories. That's fucked. Did you have MECFS? Sorry if that's too personal, but... So do you just not really remember anything about those 3 years? We should sell masks as post-apocalyptic aesthetic. We are plague doctors. We should really make it hot and vogue. Behçet's disease. Oh, I've never heard of that before. I look hotter with a mask on. TBH hides my double chin. My younger sibling was talking about developing a little bit of a wattle and being self-conscious about it. And I was like, you are not unique in having a wattle, nor are you unique in not being happy about the fact that you've developed one. So don't worry about it. Is that the word that you would use to describe this little fatty area? Like a wattle? W-O-T-T-L-E? W-O-T-T-L-E is how I would think that word would be spelled. Exactly. And then when you do get ME/CFS, your disability isn't taken seriously and you'll struggle to get benefits even if you can barely walk down the stairs. Good night, Shade. I'll probably get out of here before too terribly long. I wanted to see if there were any other, like, notes that I had for stuff that I wanted to talk about today, but I am getting hungry, actually. I should eat some solid food for the first time today. That would be cool. There's 68 people hanging out. Like, I really appreciate y'all. It's such a cool, chill time. I already talked about the Abigail and the Natalie stuff earlier today. What was the TLDR on philosophy, mommies? Abigail is right. Gender dysphoria is fake. Pizza, pizza, me so hungry. Pizza, pizza in my tummy. Oh my god. I have been eating pizzas recently. I'll go to the grocery store and get, like, the extra thin, extra pepperoni pizza. Disabled people are just expected to manage their own case and keep track of their own benefits. Mm-hmm. Red Tube Civil War. Whoa. My headphones. I dropped them. Yeah, prepare to be copyrighted by whoever owns Community. Oh, thank you, Intrepid. I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all hanging out in here. I think you're awesome. Okay, we had one... By the way, on Thursday when we streamed last time, and we set the dono goal was like, if we get to the dono goal for the stream, then I'll stop talking about politics for the rest of the night. Should we do that? Should we hold hostage? Should we hold hostage the chill streams? Be like, well, guess what tonight, fuckers? We've got like 4 different politics stories, unless you donate. Oh man, I don't actually want to do that on a regular basis. That's too much control. You can't have that much control over my show. So do you have a hot media take? I don't know that I have any hot media takes right this moment. I guess my hottest media take that I have right this moment is that Doctor Who is a horror show. I did have at least one more political thing that I was thinking about talking about today, because there was... I don't think we got to Philosophy Moms yet. We did an entire hour on Philosophy Moms earlier in the stream. Yeah, we did like a whole hour. You might have to rewind. I know Brianna Wu also tweeted about gender dysphoria. I didn't bring up Brianna Wu because my primary response to Brianna Wu is shut the fuck up, cis lady. And I don't know if that's reasonable of me to say, because, you know, when Vosh says things that I agree with about trans people and gender dysphoria, then I say, like, yes, Vosh, he's a cis guy talking about these issues for us. And then Brianna Wu is just representing, like, the opinion of trans people who I disagree with. And my reaction to that is to be like, shut the fuck up, cis lady, you don't know what you're talking about. And I don't know that that's the kind of argument that I want to make, but that's, like, pretty much my only reaction that I have to her is, like, yeah, she's cis. People thought that she looked trans during Gamergate. So people, like, she got made fun of by Gamergaters for being trans, even though she wasn't. So, yeah. It kind of is, though. Classic Doctor Who literally got banned for being too scary. I didn't watch Classic Who. I was talking about, like, starting with Eccleston. Oh, Peanut Butter Blondie, thank you so much for the $5 dono. I say hold him hostage on a weekly. Make it an event. Like, on a weekly... Like, if, okay, we're talking about very upsetting, serious politics stuff today, unless, you know, unless the donos roll in. No, I don't want to gatekeep that. Are you my mummy? Yeah. Is the emote a Godzilla? It's a dragon. It's a dragon. There's like a couple different dragons too. There's Wiggles. Oh wait, no, Wiggles. Wiggles. Does that not, wait, Wiggles. I tried to make it Discord style and that was wrong. I've thought that about Doctor Who for a long time, but I thought it was just me. So many episodes of Doctor Who start out with like someone dying in a way that is confusing and terrifying to them because some like person is like some alien that they don't comprehend. Yeah, the Cybermen are terrifying. The Daleks, the entire goal of the Daleks is like universe-wide genocide. Like literally. So yeah, Doctor Who is daytime television friendly horror, but it's horror. It is. Just go back and watch, like, you know, Eccleston and Tennant era is what I'm thinking. But I mean, even Smith had the living plastic stuff. The episode with the Ood, you know, there's an episode with Satan. The Blink, yeah, it's so scary. The Daleks are a fascism analogy, and Cybermen too. Yeah, they're very heavy-handed fascism allegories for sure. But it is sci-fi horror, yeah. Doctor Who 1974 was scary, I remember. Yeah, I tried to watch the first Doctor, and it was just so incredibly sexist, and I couldn't do it. But maybe I should jump forward to less problematic times. I need to give Doctor Who a more proper watch. I would just watch it with my friend. I would catch it with my friend from time to time. It's so good. I mean, it's like pretty good. It's a little bit neoliberal sometimes, of course. But yeah, that's part of what I like about Smith's Doctor is like it starts being a little bit more like I am the oncoming storm, you know? The Terminator, it's sci-fi, it's also horror, you know? It do be that way. I can't believe we have 135 likes. This might be like one of the most liked streams ever on the channel. That's a lot. I feel like getting to 100 is usually a lot. 135 is a lot. So thank you. Aren't we all a little neoliberal? Can't you just be a little neoliberal as a treat? Both my therapists had to tell me that it's okay to like using my Adderall prescription. Nah, I love Ritalin. Oh man, I love Ritalin so much. It's amazing. Is the channel growing? Yeah, actually, I posted a video yesterday, the edited video of when we watched that, there was a trans woman eating a salad in a restaurant and a TERF, like, accosted her and told her that she was a TERF and stuff. That video got like 5,000 views yesterday, and the channel got like 100 new subscribers, which was crazy. So channel is growing right now, for sure. With the cute little Toto dog, I know. The alien that ate people, and then there were faces in his belly, gave me nightmares as a kid. And the one on Mars where the water turns them crazy, that made me scared of showers for weeks. Oh no. Yeah. It's a scary show. Burp? No? Yes? No. Okay, there it is. Delicious. We love burping. Go to Tom Baker, Doctor Who. Is Tom Baker the one with the scarf? And also, isn't he the mom of Georgia who's married to David Tennant? Anyway. It didn't turn them crazy. It straight up killed them and took over their bodies. Sarah Jane Adventures and Torchwood are so good too. I watched like 1 or maybe 2 seasons of Torchwood. It was okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's alright. It's alright. The aliens who wore people as suits and the only way to suss them out is to listen for fart noises. They literally they kill someone right at the beginning of that episode with the Slitheen. Anyway. Pyramids of Mars is super dark and it's got a U rating. Does U mean like universal? Oh gosh. This is just for some personal gratification. Just real quick. we've been talking about drag story hours for like a year now, and there have been all these protests all over the place. Constantly, you know, someone is just at a library playing dress up and reading a book to children. That's the whole thing. Usually the costume that they're wearing is themed and related to the book. Sometimes it's a drag queen, and sometimes it's just like a person. Like, you'll see cosplayers do this as well. Not necessarily drag. But yeah, it's a common thing now to have drag queens read to children. And it's fine. It's a normal human event to play dress up and to read to a child. And increasingly, we've had videos of people Sieg Heiling at these places. Like, folks are waving Nazi flags when they're protesting drag story hours. And Proud Boys are showing up, like avowed white supremacists are showing up. And it's like really frustrating. We keep seeing these things happen, and the cops are like protecting the Nazis. And you're like, what the hell are we supposed to do with this situation? And then every once in a little while, the universe gives you a bit of a gift. Just a wee little gift. A wee gift. And that is getting to see some Proud Boys who have been roughed up and are upset about it. So that's what we're gonna treat ourselves to real quick. Is this the right video? This might not be the right video. Hold on. This is a video of an arrest. Okay, so we're gonna treat ourselves really quick. Here it is, here it is, here it is, baby! Here it is, baby. Let's get the sound.
I came here to help people, not get the shit beat out of me.
He said, I came here to help people, not get the shit beat out of me. I believe that this person is a Proud Boy. He is a member of Proud Boys. He has visible blood on his face, being ushered away from Drag Queen Story Hour event in New York City as protesters chant, "Fuck the Proud Boys."
People, not get the shit beat out of me. I have 2 other fucking buddies.
Yeah, they're going, "Fuck the Proud Boys, fuck the Proud Boys." Yeah, that's awesome. And there's not the rest of this video. It's not super eventful. Otherwise, it's just them walking away, and then this taller guy with long hair, like, trying to get the guy whose face is bloody to go away. But yeah, I just wanted to share like a little moment, just a good little moment here. Boo-hoo, poor fashy washy. Yeah, you know what? Welcome to New York fucking city. Oh, man. It's just beautiful. Just mwah, 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 beautiful. I mean, it's like when Richard Spencer, you know, got it. You know, it's just like, I could watch that over and over again. Like, I truly could just watch that over and over again. That's direct action, boys. Oh, gosh. So that's kind of all I had for tonight, really. I think I'm going to eat dinner and go pee and maybe, like, play some video game and relax for the rest of the night. Because I'm sure that there will be even more news between now and Thursday. Especially if Mr. Man Trumpster gets ousted. Again, it's my birthday next week, so if you're interested in getting me a little something, I have some wish lists on Amazon. I would appreciate it. It's not like needed. It's just some stuff that I would kind of like to have, so don't worry if you can't get me anything. Or, you know, donate. I'll get myself a nice birthday dinner on your dime. Whatever works. Prepare to be sued by Cody Johnston. I know. I'm gonna be sued. Some more news. Even more news. From your mouth to whatever deity's ears with regards to Trump. It's going to be very funny to see. I don't normally do, like, mainstream politics because that doesn't do as well on the channel. Like, it really dramatically doesn't do as well on the channel when I do mainstream politics. But I would really love to talk about Trump getting arrested. Like, it would just be really satisfying to me. Not sure if it's made world news, but Kelly J. Keen's Australia tour has been a trip. The Australians have been counter-protesting and outnumbering supporters every time. That is good to hear. We're appreciative of the Australians trying to oust Kelly J. Keen. I know I haven't talked about it on the channel that there were Nazis showing up at Kelly J. Keen's her protests and things. I just figured it wasn't worth talking about, I guess. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to focus up on, like, U.S. politics a little bit. Posey Parker. She's like a bleach blonde woman who's a TERF, and she's in the UK for the most part. You should do a chill puzzle stream. What kind of puzzles? Oh, you mean like jigsaw puzzle? Maybe, perhaps. All right, y'all. Anyway, have a good night. If all goes well, I'll see you on Thursday. And be good. Don't get in trouble. Or at least don't get caught.